Hello, and welcome to loreDND. Today, we are traveling to a world of dust and despair, a world scorched under a hateful crimson sun, where the oceans have long since boiled away into endless seas of choking silt, a world where the gods are silent, either dead or having never existed at all, a world where magic is a blasphemous act, a terrible addiction that drains the very life from the dying earth, leaving only sterile ash in its wake. This is a world of brutal tyrants, of cannibal halflings, and of nomadic elves who raid with stone-bladed fury. A world where metal is a forgotten luxury, and the most valuable thing a person can own is a single, full water skin. This is Athas, the world of dark sun. Down to you. To understand the nightmare of its present, we must first whisper of its past. We must travel back through the uncounted eons, to a time before the sand, before the ruin, before the red sun itself. We must imagine a world that the people of Athas today could not even comprehend, a world they would dismiss as a madman's dream. We must speak of the Blue Age. Long, long ago, Athas was a vibrant, living world. Its sun was a brilliant, golden yellow, warming the world without scorching it. And beneath that sun, the world was blue. Great, deep, powerful oceans spanned the globe, teeming with life. The continents were green and fertile, covered in lush forests that stretched from one horizon to the next, jungles so dense with life that their canopies blocked the sun, and rolling plains where massive herds of animals roamed free. The air was clean, the rain was plentiful, and life, in all its myriad forms, flourished. This was a time of immense natural power. The world was young, and its vital essence, the force that preservers would one day learn to borrow from, was powerful and seemingly limitless. The seasons turned as they should. Civilizations rose and fell, building cities of stone and wood, not of mud, brick, and bone. This was a world of nature, a world of life. The dominant species of this age were not the ones we know today. The halflings in this ancient time were the world's undisputed masters, but these were not the feral, jungle-dwelling cannibals of the ringing mountains. These were the halflings of legend, a civilization so advanced, so attuned to the world's natural energies, that their fall would be all the more terrible. They were masters of a power they called the Way, a deep instinctual connection to the life force of the planet itself. Through the Way, they could shape the living world, growing bridges from living wood, healing with a touch, and speaking to the animals of the forest. They were the world's caretakers, and for 1,000 generations they lived in a perfect, harmonious balance with the land. They built their homes in the hearts of ancient forests, their cities and temples grown from the very earth, works of art that complemented the world, rather than scarring it. Other races existed, though they were young, just beginning their journey. The ancient dwarves, not yet bound by their obsessive focus, were master artisans and builders. The Rule Thorn, the ancient ancestors of the Thri-Kreen, lived in their own burgeoning societies. The world was large, and there was room for all. But the halflings' mastery of the Way also contained the seeds of their destruction. They saw themselves as the pinnacle of life, the guardians of the world's spirit, and in their wisdom, they saw a potential threat. They saw that other races, the sun-blasted races as they called them, could one day rise and, through their ignorance, misuse the world's energies. They began to experiment. using their deep knowledge of life shaping to try and guide the evolution of these younger races, to mold them into forms that would be less dangerous, less ambitious, less of a threat to the natural order. These experiments, however, were a form of hubris, the first great arrogance that would crack the foundation of their paradise. The most catastrophic of these experiments was the creation of the brown tide, the halflings, in an attempt to create a perfect, subservient race, unbound a form of life that could not be controlled. It was a rampant, cancerous growth, a mindless, all-consuming swarm that spread across the lands and oceans, devouring everything in its path. It blotted out the sun, choked the forests, and poisoned the seas. The halflings had, in their attempt to control life, created the ultimate anti-life. Their civilization was shattered. Their great forest cities were consumed, their populations decimated. The brown tide's rampage lasted for an age. And by the time the halflings, in their desperation, finally found a way to stop it, the world was irrevocably scarred. The Blue Age was over. The oceans were tainted, the great forests were broken, and the halflings themselves were reduced to scattered, traumatized survivors, fleeing into the jungles they still knew. Their great knowledge fractured, and their wisdom warped into a bitter, xenophobic survivalism. The world entered a new phase, a period of slow recovery known as the Green Age. With the halfling civilization in ruins, the other races had room to grow. New civilizations, like those of the early dwarves and humans, began to rise from the ashes of the old world. The world was still fertile, still green. The oceans were not yet dust, and the forests, though diminished, were still vast. It was in this new age, this age of rebuilding and rediscovery, that a new power would be found. A human, a brilliant and terrible figure who would one day be known as Rajat, the first sorcerer, was the one to make the discovery. He was a being of immense intellect and patience, and he sought to understand the very fabric of the world. He studied the halfling's way, the flow of life energy, but he did not seek to harmonize with it. He sought to control it, to command it. He discovered that the life force of the world was not just something to be borrowed from, as the halflings had done. It could be taken. He learned to pull that energy into himself, to fuel his own desires, to shape reality to his will. He had, in this moment, invented arcane magic, and with its very first use, the world's doom was sealed. For when Rajat drew upon this power, he did not just take from the ambient, overflowing life of the world. He found it was easier, faster, and more potent to pull that energy directly from the life around him, from the plants, the insects, the very soil. And when he was finished, where a patch of green grass had been, there was now only a circle of fine gray ash. He had become the first defiler. He saw what he had done, he saw the cost, and he embraced it. To him, this was not destruction. This was power. This was control. The world, in his eyes, was merely fuel for his ambition. He was not, however, ready to share this discovery. Not yet. He retreated into the shadows, studying this new, terrible power, perfecting its use. But power once found cannot be hidden forever. Others too began to experiment. They too began to experiment. They too found they could touch the energy of the world, but they did it differently. They were more cautious. They learned to draw magic in a way that did not kill, taking only the excess energy the world could spare. Leaving the land unharmed, they learned to be stewards, not destroyers. They became the first preservers. But their magic was slow. It was difficult. It required patience and a deep connection to the land, a respect for the life it held. And so, as the Green Age reached its zenith, two paths lay open, one of patience and one of power, one of preservation and one of defiling. A great schism was forming, a conflict that would not be fought with armies or with steel, but with the very lifeblood of Athas itself. The stage was set for a tragedy that would eclipse even the brown tide, a war that would not just scar the world but murder it. The fragile balance between the preservers and the defilers was never a true balance at all. It was the pause before the avalanche. The preservers saw magic as a partnership with the world, a sacred borrowing of life energy that was to be respected and protected. They were artists, healers, and guardians. But the defilers saw the world as a tool, a reservoir of fuel, to be consumed in the forge of their ambition. And in a contest between patience and greed is always faster. At the heart of this shadow war stood Rajat, the first sorcerer. He was not merely a power-hungry wizard. He was a visionary, but his vision was one of profound genocidal madness. He looked upon the world of the Green Age, at the burgeoning civilizations of humans, dwarves, elves, and the other sun-blasted races, and he did not see progress. He saw a plague, he saw a new brown tide, a swarm of vermin consuming the world, just as the halfling's creation had done in the age before. In his twisted, arrogant mind, Rajat believed that only the ancient halflings were worthy of Athas. He became obsessed with a half-remembered, mythologized history of the Blue Age, a paradise he sought to restore. But to restore this paradise, he believed he first had to cleanse the world. He had to exterminate every race that was not of the true people, the halflings. His goal was not conquest. It was genocide. He knew he could not accomplish this alone. The world was vast, and the races he despised were many. He needed lieutenants. He needed generals. He began to teach his art, the art of defiling, to a select, chosen few. He did not seek the wise or the compassionate. He sought the most ruthless, the most power-hungry, the most morally bankrupt individuals he could find. He found them among all the races he planned to destroy. A bitter and useful irony. To each of these students, these champions as he called them, he gave a dark covenant. He would grant them his knowledge, teach them the secrets of arcane magic, and even show them the path to a cursed, undying life. In return, each champion was given a gift, a single entire race to be their focus. Their sole purpose would be to hunt down, wage war against, and utterly exterminate that race from the face of Athas. One was tasked with wiping out the dwarves, another, the elves, another, the humans, and so on, down the list of all the intelligent peoples of the world. These champions, these future Sorcerer-Kings, eagerly accepted their charge. For the promise of immortality and the power of a god, they would happily drown the world in blood and ash. And so, Rajat and his 15 champions unleashed the cleansing wars. This was the conflict that murdered the world. It was not a war as mortals understand it. It was a magical holocaust. The champions, now immortal and wielding the full, terrible power of defiling magic, led their own armies of fanatical followers, and magically created monsters. They swept across the green continents of Athas, and where they walked, the world died. They did not just defeat armies. They annihilated landscapes. A human city that resisted was not just conquered. The champion responsible for their eradication would power a spell so vast that the entire city and the forest for miles around it would be reduced to a gray, lifeless plain of dust. Rivers were not just crossed. They were boiled dry to fuel a ritual that would slaughter 10,000 elves. Mountain ranges were not tunneled through. They were shattered by dwarven champions who tore the earth apart in their obsessive genocidal fury. The scale of the defiling was unimaginable. The very fabric of the world began to tear. The life force of Athas, its way, was being consumed, ripped out, and burned away faster than it could ever hope to recover. The skies filled with a permanent, choking shroud of dust, ash, and pulverized earth. The air became toxic, thick with the residue of magic, so powerful and so foul that it stained the very heavens. And the sun, the golden, life-giving sun of the blue and green ages, was strangled. Peering through the dense, poisonous new atmosphere, it could no longer shine its brilliant yellow. Its light was filtered, warped, and choked, emerging as a baleful, sickly, and terrifying crimson. The red sun of Athas was born, a perpetual reminder of the world's agony, glaring down like a hateful eye. The ecological collapse was absolute. With the skies choked and the sun's light warped, rain simply stopped. The great deep oceans of the Blue Age, already scarred by the brown tide, were now subjected to a new, relentless torment. Under the burning, rainless sky, they began to evaporate. Age after age, the water levels fell until all that was left of the mighty oceans were continent-sized basins of fine, choking silt, dust, and salt. The Sea of Silt was created, a new and terrible mockery of the blue paradise Rajat claimed to be fighting for. The land, too, was bled dry. The vast forests that had survived the brown tide were now gone, reduced to petrified wood and endless dunes. Fertile plains became salt flats and rocky badlands. The world was no longer green. It was a uniform, unending canvas of brown, grey, and red. And Rajat's plan, in its terrible effectiveness, was succeeding. The champions were brutally efficient. Entire races were extinguished. Goblins, orcs, trolls, and countless others, whose very names are now forgotten, were hunted to the last child and erased from history. The sun-blasted races were being scoured from the world. But Rajat himself was not finished. His ambition had no ceiling. He had taught his champions immortality, but he sought something more. He sought true apotheosis. He pushed his own mastery of defiling and his own innate, godlike psionic power to a limit never before seen. In a final, blasphemous ritual, he unbound the very laws of nature, transforming himself into a being of singular, monstrous power. He became a creature of scales and fury, of arcane might and psionic terror, a being that would come to be the very symbol of destruction on Athas. He became the first and the only dragon, a being of such power that he was, for all intents and purposes, a god. His champions, the future Sorcerer-Kings, saw this, and they were afraid. They had followed Rajat for power, but they were arrogant, selfish creatures. They had no intention of being slaves to a mad, Genocidal god. They had seen his plan to its conclusion, and they realized that after they had served their purpose, they too would be cleansed. A new dark alliance was forged. In the single greatest act of treachery in Athas' history, the champions, led by the one named Boris, the butcher of dwarves, turned on their master. The war that followed was a war of gods and demons, fought on the corpse of a world, the dragon Rajat against his 15 immortal lieutenants. The planet, already shattered, was nearly obliterated by the magics and psionic forces unleashed. But the champions had a plan. They knew they could not kill the dragon. He was truly eternal, but they could imprison him. In a desperate, world-altering ritual, they succeeded. They bound Rajat, the first sorcerer, in a place outside of time, a hollow in the fabric of reality, and slammed the door shut. The cleansing wars were over. The silence that fell was the silence of a graveyard. The champions, now calling themselves the Sorcerer-Kings, stood victorious on the ruins of the world they had destroyed. They looked at the red sun, the silt seas, and the dying, huddled survivors of the races they had been tasked to destroy. They divided the spoils. Each Sorcerer-King claimed one of the few remaining areas where life could still be supported. A valley, a mountain spring, a rare oasis. On these last bastions of life, they built their city-states, Tyr, Uruk, Nibene Ram, and the others. They enslaved the remaining populations, styling themselves as living gods, the literal source of all life and power, and demanded absolute obedience. But their victory was not complete. The prison they had built for Rajat was not self-sustaining. It was a wound in reality, and it required a constant, massive infusion of life energy to maintain its integrity, to keep the first sorcerer from tearing his way back into the world. In Tasania, in Botlichi, in Tlaun, and Astisir. Boris, their leader, paid the price for this. He used Rajat's own research to perform a lesser, flawed version of the dragon's transformation, becoming a new, lesser dragon, monstrous, powerful, and forever bound to his new duty as Rajat's jailer. He became the dragon of Tyr, the boogeyman of Athas. And to fuel that prison, the dragon's levy was established. Once every year, the dragon of Tyr would move from city-state to city-state, and each Sorcerer-King would be forced to pay a terrible tithe, 1,000 lives, sometimes more, gathered from their slave pens and streets. These unfortunate souls would be sacrificed, their life force drained in a terrible ritual to power the wards of Rajat's cage. This is the state of Athas, a world of dying cities, ruled by immortal tyrants who live in fear of their own jailer, who in turn lives in fear of his prisoner. It is a world built on a lie, balanced on a knife edge of desperation, and fueled by the daily brutal sacrifice of the living. The Green Age is a forgotten myth, and the only law is survival. Welcome to the world you have inherited. Forget the histories of the Blue Age, they are less than myths. Forget the embers of the Green Age, they are the delusions of madmen. There is only now, there is only the red sun, and the world it burns. The environment of Athas is not a setting, it is an antagonist. It is a relentless, ever-present monster that seeks to kill every living thing, every single day. Survival is not an adventure. It is a full-time, soul-crushing job, and most people fail. Let us begin with the sun itself. The red sun of Athas is not the gentle, warming star of other worlds. It is a hateful crimson eye, staring down from a sky that is a pale, sickly yellow-brown, a sky permanently stained with the dust of a dead world. From the moment it rises, it is not a bringer of light, but a bringer of torment. It beats down with a ferocious baking heat, a physical weight that leaches the moisture from your skin. From your skin. Cracks your lips and boils the very air you breathe. There is no shade. The great forests are gone, reduced to vast petrified plains where entire jungles of stone trees claw at the sky, casting no shadow, offering no relief. The ground is baked clay, hot stone, and endless, shifting sand. To be caught in the open in the full glare of the red sun is a death sentence. Travelers do not walk. They huddle in the meager shade of a rock outcropping or a ruined wall, waiting for the dusk, praying the heat doesn't kill them before the night predators do. The air itself shimmers, not with moisture, but with a dry, suffocating heat that can steal the breath from your lungs. And then there is the water, or, more accurately, the lack of it. On Athas, water is life. It is the only currency that truly matters. Gold, silver, gems. These are the pretty baubles of a world that is already dead. A man dying of thirst cannot drink gold, but a single full water skin. That is a king's ransom. That is a treasure worth murdering for, and many do. Water is not found. It is hunted. There are no free-flowing rivers. There are no placid lakes. The cities, the last bastions of humanity, are built around the last, deepest wells, their sources guarded more jealously than any fortress. The Sorcerer-Kings control the water, and in doing so, they control all life. They ration it out in meager, muddy cups to those who serve them, and let the rest, the slaves, the poor, the outcasts, fight for the scraps or die. Out in the wastes, the situation is even more desperate. Nomads and raiders follow secret maps, passed down for generations, that mark the locations of tiny hidden seeps, a place where a bit of mud might be squeezed for a few precious drops. They follow the migration of animals, not just to hunt them, in which they will, but to see if they lead to a hidden spring. They harvest the meager moisture from desert plants, chewing on tough, bitter roots for the water they hold. To waste a single drop is the greatest of all sins. To spill another's water is a declaration of war. Food is just as scarce. The world is not green. The soil is sterile ash, salt, and sand. Farming is a near impossible act of defiance against the planet. In the city-states, tiny. Terraced fields are carved into the sides of canyons or city walls, where sewage, the nutrient-rich waste of the city, is mixed with precious mud and water to grow small, hardy crops. These fields are guarded by armed sentinels, not just from thieves, but from the starving masses who would strip them bare in a moment. The plants that do grow wild in the desert are not a bounty. They are a reflection of the world's hate. They are thorny, poisonous, and aggressive. The cank, a large, docile insect, is one of the mainstays of Athasian life, providing not only transport, but also globules of green honeydew that are a primary source of food. But in the wild, most life is monstrous. The animals have evolved to survive in this hellscape, and they have all become predators. They are armored, venomous, and almost all are psionic. They see a traveler not as a threat, but as a rare, walking collection of water and meat. And then, there is the metal. On Athas, metal is a legend. The relentless defiling of the cleansing wars, the endless magical strip mining by the Sorcerer-Kings, and the simple passage of uncounted ages have scoured the world of its surface metals. Iron, bronze, steel. These are materials of a lost age. An adventurer does not carry a steel longsword. They carry a club made from the petrified wood of a long-dead forest. They wield an axe made from a sharpened piece of obsidian, a volcanic glass that is sharp but shatters easily. They wear armor not of chainmail, but of thick boiled leather or the chitinous plates of a giant insect. A single steel weapon is a relic. It is a prize that would make a warlord weep, a treasure worth more than an entire caravan. To find one, perhaps in a ruined tomb from the Green Age, is to become an instant target for every person who sees it. The owner of a steel blade is a king, and a target, and they will likely have to kill to keep it, and will in turn be killed for it. This lack of metal has defined Athasian society. It dictates warfare. Armies do not clash in shining plate. They are hordes of near-naked slaves, armed with bone-tipped spears and stone clubs. It dictates daily life. A farmer cannot use a metal plow. They use a stick. A builder cannot use metal nails. They must bind their structures with rope made from giant's hair or insect fiber. This is the daily reality. A world without water, without food, without shade, and without metal. But the horrors are not just passive. The land itself is a killer. The most prominent feature of the known world is the Sea of Silt. Where the great ocean once rolled, there is now a vast continent-spanning basin of fine, choking dust. This is not sand. It is a powder as fine as talc, the accumulated grit and ash of a dead world. It is a sea, and it behaves like one. It flows. It has currents, and it has torrents, moved not by a moon, but by the relentless winds, and some whisper, by the ancient, sleeping things that lie beneath it. Ah, nude! To fall into the Sea of Silt is to die. There is no swimming. The dust is too fine to offer purchase and too thick to breathe. It fills your mouth, your nose, your lungs, and you sink, suffocating in a grave of dry dust. Yet, life crosses this sea. Great, floating silt skimmers, massive raft-like ships, are pulled across its surface by giant, specially bred beasts, or for the very wealthy by powerful psionic skimmers, who use their minds to propel the vessel. But to cross the sea is to invite death, for the silt is not empty. Lurking beneath the surface are the true horrors of Athas. Silt horrors, massive, tentacled leviathans, rise from the dust to snatch ships and their crews, pulling them down into the suffocating depths. The silt is a hunting ground, and those who sail it are merely prey. The rest of the world is a patchwork of wastelands. The Tyr region, where most Dark Sun stories are set, is a small, relatively safe basin surrounded by impassable mountains, and the Sea of Silt. It is here the great city-states huddle, but even this safe land is a nightmare. There are the salt flats, vast, white plains where the evaporated remnants of an ancient sea are so reflective that the sun's glare can blind a man in minutes, and the salt leaches the last of the moisture from his body. There are the rocky badlands, a maze of canyons and sharp wind-carved stone, home to raiders and cliff-dwelling monsters. There are the endless, shifting sand dunes, a desert within a desert where the wind can bury a caravan or a ruin in a single night. And always, there are the winds. The winds of Athas do not bring cool relief. They bring sandstorms, massive rolling walls of dust and grit that move across the land. These storms are not just an inconvenience. They are an extinction-level event. The wind howls like a mourning god, the grit scouring flesh from bone, burying entire villages, and leaving those caught in the open as nothing more than skeletons, stripped clean. This is the world. This is the cage. It is a prison built of heat, thirst, dust, and hunger. To live here is to be at war with the planet, every hour of every day. And it is this brutal, unforgiving crucible that has forged the people, the monsters, and the societies of the dying world. This brutal, dying world has forged its children from the only materials it has left: desperation, hunger, and violence. The peoples of Athas are not the noble, bright-eyed heroes of other worlds' tales. They are survivors, warped by their environment and the twisted legacies of their ancestors. The familiar faces you might think you know have been transformed by the red sun, and new alien races have risen to claim a stake in the wasteland. Let us first speak of humans. As in most worlds, they are the most numerous, the most adaptable, and the most dangerously ambitious. It was human ambition, after all, that fueled Rajad's madness and gave rise to the Sorcerer-Kings on Athas. Humanity is the baseline. They are the slaves toiling in the mud-brick pits. They are the loyal, magic-wielding Templars who enforce their tyrant's will. They are the desperate farmers trying to coax life from dead soil. They are the cunning merchants, the brutal gladiators, and the wild-eyed mystics in the wastes. Their greatest strength is their sheer, stubborn refusal to die, their ability to find a way to live, no matter how debased or cruel, in every corner of this hellscape. They are the masters, and they are the slaves, and their teeming, desperate masses fill the city-states. Then there are the elves. Forget any image of wise, immortal beings from serene forests. The elves of Athas are a race of gaunt, long-limbed nomads, their bodies hardened by a life of constant motion. They are the desert's ultimate runners, capable of covering vast distances at a relentless loping pace. They live in tribal, nomadic bands, constantly on the move, trading, raiding, and scheming. To the city dweller, the elf is a fickle and dangerous creature, a gifted storyteller one moment, a ruthless thief the next. They live by a complex code of honor that is utterly opaque to outsiders, a code that values speed, cunning, and the survival of the tribe above all else. They are distrusted by all, and they return the sentiment in full, seeing the city-states as little more than giant, slow-moving herds of livestock to be preyed upon. The dwarves of Athas share a single-mindedness with their kin from other worlds. But on this world, that trait has been warped into a burning, near-pathological obsession. The Athasian dwarf is a short, stocky, and invariably bald creature. Powerfully built and endlessly grim, a dwarf's life is defined by one thing: its focus. This is a single great task that the dwarf dedicates their entire existence to. This focus might be to build a perfect, unassailable fortress, to master a specific psionic discipline, or to avenge a wrong committed centuries ago. A dwarf must pursue their focus. It is the anchor that keeps their mind from shattering in the face of the world's madness. To die before completing one's focus is the only true failure, and to prevent a dwarf from completing their focus or to damage their work, is to invite a rage so total and so violent that it is one of the most feared forces in the wastes. Perhaps the most terrible transformation, the most tragic fall from grace, belongs to the halflings, the ancient masters of the Blue Age, the wise caretakers of a green world, are gone. The trauma of the brown tide, the destruction of their civilization, and the long ages of hiding in a world that hates them, has broken their minds. The halflings of the Red Sun are a race of feral, xenophobic, and deeply territorial hunters. They live in the few remaining, hidden jungles of the world, like the ringing mountains, guarding the last vestiges of the planet's life with a jealous fury. And they are all cannibals. They see all outsiders, humans, elves, dwarfs, everyone, as nothing more than meat. They are tall pork. To them, the outside world is a land of defilers and monsters, and any who intrude upon their sacred green lands are to be hunted, cooked, and consumed, their bones used for tools, and their skulls for warnings. But the world has also created new life, though often for a terrible purpose. Consider the mulls. A mull is not born of love. They are bred for profit. They are the sterile, hybrid offspring of a human and a dwarf, created in the slave pits of the Sorcerer-Kings. They combine the best of both races and are twisted into the perfect slave. They have the raw strength and ungodly endurance of a dwarf, but they possess the adaptability and, crucially, the obedience of a human. A mull can work for 24 hours straight. They can fight in the gladiatorial arenas from sunup to sundown, and ask only for water and gruel. They are the ultimate tools, powerful, durable, and with no hope of a future, for they cannot reproduce. They are born into chains, they live in service, and they die for their master's profit. Every mull is a living, breathing tragedy, a testament to the calculating cruelty of the city-states. Then there are the half-giants. These towering beings are the result of magical experimentation, a crossbreed of giant and human, crafted to be the perfect guardians and shock troops. A half-giant stands over 12 feet tall. A half-giant stands over 12 feet tall. With strength to match, their minds, however, are often simple, not in the sense of being stupid, but of being incredibly, dangerously impressionable. A half-giant's loyalties and even their entire personality can shift based on the last person who gave them orders or showed them kindness. They are beings of black and white morality, and in the gray, blood-soaked world of Athas, this makes them unpredictable and terrifying weapons, easily pointed and unleashed by a cunning master. Finally, there are the truly alien races of Athas, those who do not share a common ancestry with the others. The most prominent are the Thri-Kreen. These are the insect men, the mantis warriors of the wastes. They are 8 foot tall, 4-armed, chitin-plated humanoids who travel in nomadic packs. They are the ultimate desert survivors, perfectly adapted to the harsh environment. They require almost no water. Their hard exoskeleton protects them from the sun and all but the sharpest weapons, and their 4 arms make them devastating fighters. They are psionic by nature, communicating in a series of clicks, chirps, and pheromones. They do not understand the soft shell concepts of emotion or sleep. They see the world in purely pragmatic terms. The clutch and the hunt, all else is irrelevant. They are neither good nor evil. They are simply a different, and terrifyingly efficient, form of life. These are the peoples of the dying world. Each one is a mirror, reflecting a different aspect of the brutality of Athas. Survival has forced them into these hardened, desperate shapes, and it is these desperate, violent, and broken peoples who must find a way to live, or more often, find a way to kill each other, under the hateful glare of the red sun. In the dying world of Athas, there is no such thing as a nation. There are no kingdoms, no empires, no republics. There is only the wasteland, and the 7 festering sores that pass for civilization. The city-states of the Tier region. The city-states of the Tier region. These are not bastions of light and hope in the darkness. They are prisons. They are slave pits. They are the personal, nightmarish fiefdoms of the immortal tyrants who built them, the Sorcerer-Kings. Each city-state huddles around the one resource that matters, a permanent, reliable source of water, be it a deep well, a mountain spring, or a psionically drawn oasis. These cities are brutal, functional, and massive. They are built not of marble or granite, but of sun-baked mud brick, carved stone, and the bones of giant creatures. They are towering ziggurats, sprawling, walled-off slums and gladiatorial arenas that dwarf all else, all built on the backs of a slave population that makes up the vast majority of the citizenry. To understand life in a city-state, you must first understand the absolute, unquestionable hierarchy of power. At the very top, a distant, godlike, and terrifying figure, is the Sorcerer-King. These are the surviving champions of Rajat, the immortal traitors who murdered the world and then enslaved its remnants. They are beings of unimaginable power, each one a master of both the forbidden art of defiling magic and the godlike potential of psionics. They are not merely kings. They present themselves as living gods. They are the God King of Tyr, the Shadow King of Nibene, the Lion of Uruk. Their word is not just law. It is a divine edict. To speak their name without permission is a crime. To look them in the eye is to invite a death so horrible it will be used as a lesson for generations. Each Sorcerer-King is unique, their city a perfect reflection of their own warped, paranoid, and cruel personality. Tyr, for example, is ruled by the ambitious Kalak. For centuries he has been obsessed with one thing, completing his ziggurat, a colossal, mountain-sized temple of mud brick. He has poured every resource of his city into this single, monolithic project, working his slaves to death in the tens of thousands. The populace whispers his goal is to achieve true godhood, to become a dragon, just like the one he fears. Uruk is the fortress city of Hamanu, the lion. Hamanu is a disciplined, militaristic, and legalistic tyrant. His city is an armed camp, his society rigidly controlled, and his armies of slave soldiers are the most feared in the region. Nibene is the domain of the Shadow King, a reclusive, decadent, and ancient sorcerer-king, who rarely, if ever, appears in person. He rules through a vast labyrinthine bureaucracy of spies, scribes, and officials. His city, a hotbed of paranoia and silent, knife-in-the-back intrigue. Ram, ruled by the great Vizier Abelachre, is a city perpetually on the verge of collapse. It is a powder keg of rioting slaves, fanatical religious cults, and open warfare in the streets, all held in a state of chaotic, bloody tension by its seemingly mad ruler, Dry. In the south is the domain of Tectatitle, a sorcerer-king who has styled himself as the bloody-handed god of the sun and rain. His city is a place of constant ritual sacrifice, where his people live in terror of not appeasing his divine and murderous appetites. These rulers are absolute, but they cannot be everywhere at once. To enforce their will, they have a special class of servants, the Templars. Templars are the priesthood of the Sorcerer-Kings. They are the judges, the police, the military commanders, and the tax collectors, all rolled into one. They are the face of the God King's power, and they are rightly feared. But they are not, as in other worlds, priests who get their power from a divine source. The gods are dead. No. A Templar's magic, their ability to heal, to curse, to command, comes directly from their Sorcerer-King. It is a loan. It is a leash. The God King siphons off a tiny fraction of their own immense arcane power and funnels it to their loyal servants. This makes the Templars incredibly powerful, but also utterly, hopelessly beholden to their master. If a Templar displeases their king, their power can be shut off in an instant, leaving them a magicless marked for death traitor. This system ensures a brutal, backstabbing, and fanatical loyalty as Templars vie for their master's favor, seeking to gain more power while constantly watching for the rival who would frame them for treason. Below the Templars are the free citizens, a term which is itself a cruel joke. These are the merchants, the artisans, the caravan masters, and the property owners. They are free only in that they are not, technically, slaves, but they live in constant terror. They must pay crippling taxes in water, food, and coin. They must obey every contradictory and arbitrary law the Templars invent. And they know that, at any moment, for any reason, their freedom can be revoked. A merchant who is too successful might have his wealth seized for the state. An artisan who speaks a careless word might find himself and his entire family sentenced to the slave pits, pet slave pits. And at the very bottom, forming the massive groaning foundation of Athasian society, are the slaves, at least 80%, and in some cities like Tyre, more than 90%. Of the population is enslaved. Slaves are not people. They are property. They are fuel. They build the walls. They mine the quarries. They farm the mudflats. And they die in the arenas for the city's entertainment. They have no rights, no name save the one their master gives them, and no hope. A slave's life is one of endless, agonizing labor under the red sun, punctuated by the sting of the Templar's whip, and ending almost inevitably in a violent, anonymous death. This is the lifeblood of the cities, the gladiatorial arena. The arena is not just entertainment. It is a vital tool of social control. It is the one place the starving, desperate masses, slave and free alike, can go to vent their rage and frustrations, not at their rulers, but at the doomed figures fighting for their lives on the arena's floor. It is a spectacle of blood, psionics and death. Gladiators, almost exclusively slaves, are trained to fight with bone-spiked clubs, obsidian-toothed swords, and nets of human hair. They fight each other. They fight teams of other slaves, and for the grand spectacles, They are pitted against the most terrifying monsters captured from the wastes. To be a gladiator is to have a life expectancy measured in weeks, but it is also the only path to, perhaps, one day earning your freedom, a slim, bloody hope that keeps the arenas full and the crowds cheering for more death. This is the civilization of the Sorcerer-King. It is a pyramid built of bones, held together by fear, and watered with blood. To live here is to navigate a daily paranoid nightmare, where your neighbor might be a Templar spy. The water seller is charging you a week's wages for a muddy cup, and the only hope on the horizon is the promise of a bloody death in the arena. On a world where the very earth screams in agony at the touch of a wizard, where the gods are silent and their priests are liars, you must understand that there is another source of power. It is a power that does not burn the land to ash. It does not require the favor of a long-dead god or the bloody patronage of a tyrant. It is a power that comes from within. It is the power of the mind, the power of the self. On Athas, it is known as the will, and it is the great, strange, and terrible exception to the planet's despair. In most other worlds, such abilities, the psionic arts, are a rare, strange footnote, a curiosity practiced by a few hidden monks or alien creatures, but on Athas, psionics are everywhere. They are woven into the very fabric of life, a fundamental force as common as the red sun and as necessary as water. When the world was broken, when the cleansing wars choked the life from the land and arcane magic became a cancer, something in the universe shifted. The life force of the planet, its way, was corrupted and diminished. The connection to the divine was severed. And into this vacuum, the latent potential of the mortal mind, of all life, flourished. It was the world's last-ditch effort at survival, an evolution of the self in response to the death of the world. This is the single most important distinction on Athas, the difference between magic and the will. Magic, the arcane art of the Sorcerer-Kings, is external. It is the act of pulling power from the world, a violent, parasitic act. It is theft, and its defiling nature always leaves a scar. It burns the soil, kills the plants, and leaves a circle of sterile, grey ash. This is why magic is hated. This is why the common folk, when they see a wizard cast a spell, will form a mob and tear them to pieces. They are not just killing a person. They are killing a plague carrier, someone who is actively murdering the tiny fragile scrap of land they all depend on. The will, psionics, is internal. It is the act of drawing power from within one's own mind, one's own life force, one's own spiritual discipline. It is the power of self-mastery. It takes no fuel from the world. It leaves no ash. A scientist can level a building with a thought, and the grass at their feet will remain undisturbed. Because of this, psionics is not hated, but it is feared. It is feared for the same reason a sudden rock slide or a coiled serpent is feared. For its raw, dangerous potential. A wizard is a walking eco-terrorist. A scientist is a walking weapon. Nearly everyone on Athas has some small spark of the will. It is a basic survival trait. A farmer in the mud fields of terror might have a tiny, instinctual sense that warns him when a Templar is in a bad mood. A slave in a quarry might have the mental fortitude to harden his mind, finding a place of internal calm to survive a lashing. A child in the slums might be able to nudge a piece of fruit from a stall with a thought, a petty, instinctive telekinesis born of hunger. A Sorcerer-King hunter instinctively knows how to project a sense of pure, animalistic dread to halt a fleeing creature in its tracks. These are the wild talents, the small, unrefined gifts that most of the population possesses. They are small blessings, the mind's way of armoring itself against a world of horrors. But for some, this spark is a fire. For some, the will is not just a survival trait. It is a discipline, a science, an art. These are the scientists. They are individuals who have, through brutal training, innate genius, or sheer, desperate need, learned to unlock the full, terrifying potential of the human or elven, or dwarven or Sorcerer-King mind. These dedicated scientists, the true masters of the will, have organized their knowledge into several great pathways or disciplines. The most common, and often most useful, is telepathy. This is the art of touching other minds. At its simplest, it is the speaking from one mind to another, a silent, secret form of communication in a world where a spoken word can get you killed. At its most advanced, it is an arsenal of terrible weapons. A master telepath can read your deepest secrets, project illusions directly into your brain, or dominate your will, turning you into a puppet who obeys their every command. They can also shatter a mind, unleashing a psychic blast of pure, focused rage and mental force that can leave an enemy a drooling, mindless wreck. Then, there is psychokinesis, the power to move things. The child who steals a piece of fruit is a novice. A master can move anything. They can lift a 1,000-pound boulder and hurl it at a city wall. They can snatch the bone-tipped spear from a guard's hand and impale him with it. They can create invisible shields of pure force to deflect attacks, or detonate the very air in a concussive blast. The most subtle and feared masters can even manipulate matter at a molecular level, creating fire from nothing, or with a dark, terrible focus, disintegrating an object or a person into a cloud of scattered atoms. There is also clairsentience, the art of knowing. This is the art of the senses. A novice can sharpen their hearing to listen to a conversation in the next room. A master can see the future, catching glimpses of what might be. They can see the past, touching an object, a skull, a broken sword, and experiencing the last moments of its owner. They can see what is happening miles away, making them the most dangerous and effective spies in the known world. They are the finders of hidden water, the trackers of lost caravans, and the prophets who whisper warnings to Sorcerer-Kings. We also find psychometabolism, the mastery of one's own body. This is the art of the gladiator and the slave. A master of this discipline can reshape their own flesh. They can grow claws, thicken their skin into a hard, chitinous armor, or heal grievous wounds in moments. They can speed up their metabolism to move with blinding quickness, or slow it down to enter a death-like trance, surviving for days without water or air. They can even, it is said, lend their own life force to another, healing them with a touch. Finally, there is psychoportation, the rarest and most disorienting of the arts. This is the mastery of space, and some whisper, time itself. A master can fold space, stepping from one shadow to another, miles away. In an instant, they can create portals to other places, or, more terrifyingly, create a pocket dimension, a tiny, empty space outside of reality to which they can banish their enemies with a thought. These arts are used. A merchant house doesn't just hire guards with bone clubs. It hires a powerful telepath to scan a caravan route for ambushes, and a psychokinetic to serve as living, invisible artillery. Gladiators in the arena are adored for their psionic talents. A fighter who can grow armored skin or telekinetically snatch his opponent's weapon is a crowd-pleasing champion. And of course, this power is the ultimate tool of the rulers. The Sorcerer-Kings are not just the most powerful defilers. They are, without exception, the most powerful psionists on the planet. Their mental power is what allows them to dominate their Templars, to crush rebellions with a single thought, and to maintain the wards on Rajat's prison. They are, in every sense, part wizard, part Sion. Noon Tai no. Passionates Ianichiu. This creates a terrifying reality for any gifted Zionist. To be weak is to be a victim. To be strong is to be a threat. The Sorcerer-Kings and their Templars are constantly hunting for powerful Zionists. They recruit them, twisting their talents to serve the city's brutal regime, or they eliminate them, assassinating them in their sleep before they can become a rival. Because of this, many of the world's most powerful Zionists live in secret. They hide in the slums, using their powers only when they must, or they gather in hidden cabals, secret societies, and hidden monasteries out in the wastes. These orders dedicate themselves to preserving the knowledge of the will, training new initiates far from the watchful, psychic eye of the God Kings. Some are noble, seeking to one day use their power to free the world. Others are just as ruthless and tyrannical, seeking only to supplant the Sorcerer-Kings and install their own mental dictatorship. The will is Athas's great wild card. It is the one power that does not kill the world, and so it is the one power that might, just might, one day save it. But it is also a power of absolute terrifying control. A weapon that can enslave a mind as surely as chains can encelt a body. On Athas, the mind is the only battlefield left that hasn't been turned to dust, and the war for it is waged every day, in secret, in every city and every caravan. Under the crimson glare of the red sun, Ane, we have spoken of the mind, the great, internal, and clean power of Athas. But now, we must turn our gaze back to the great original sin. We must speak of the power that murdered the world. We must speak of arcane magic. On Athas, magic is not a force of creation. It is a hunger, it is a fire, and the world is its only fuel. You must understand this. All arcane magic, from the smallest flicker of light to the continent-shattering rituals of the Sorcerer-Kings, draws its power from the same source. It does not come from another plane, nor from a benevolent god, nor from a benevolent god, nor from the weave of a healthy world. It comes from the life of Athas, the energy of the plants, the soil, the insects, the very air. This is the only well from which a wizard can draw. Where the Zionist uses the power of their own self, the wizard takes power from another. This act, this fundamental theft of life, is the source of all magic. And in this, there are two paths, not a path of good and a path of evil. For such concepts are luxuries Athas cannot afford. No, there is only the path of the careless, and the path of the damned, the path of the preserver, and the path of the defiler. Let us speak of the defiler first. for their story is written in the ash of the world. The Defiler is the one who embraces the true, terrible nature of Athasian magic. They are the one who, in their moment of need, reaches out and tears the life from the world around them. They do not ask, they do not borrow, they take. It is the fast path, it is the easy path, and it is the path of intoxicating, limitless power. When a Defiler casts a spell, the world dies. It is an immediate, visible, and sickening event. The grass at their feet withers, turns black, and crumbles to a fine grey, sterile ash. The bushes and trees nearby groan as their leaves curl and fall, their branches cracking, their life force vacuumed out to fuel the wizard's desire. The very ground becomes a circle of death, a place where nothing will grow again for a generation, if ever. This is why magic is hated. This is why the wizard is the ultimate boogeyman of Athas. A mob of slaves, starving and beaten, will see a man in a field draw power for a spell, see the land die at his feet, and they will, with one mind, rise up and tear that man to shreds. For he is not just a person. He is a monster. He is the monster. He is the one actively, visibly, and personally murdering the last tiny scraps of life they all so desperately cling to. The Sorcerer-Kings, of course, are the ultimate defilers. Their every act of magic is a holocaust on a grand scale, the life force of thousands, or of the dragon's levy itself, consumed to power their immortality and the wards of Rajat's prison. Any other defiler is just a pale, arrogant imitation, a rabid dog that must be put down, not for its evil, but because the Sorcerer-King will not tolerate a rival at their feast. This is the path of the defiler, a path of power, of addiction, and of utter, soul-destroying selfishness. And then there is the other path, the hard path, the path of the Preserver. The Preserver is a wizard who has seen the cost and refuses to pay it. They are the ones who have, through agonizing discipline, slow study, and a deep, painful empathy for the dying world, learned to control the hunger. A Preserver does not take life. They borrow it. They learn to feel the subtle, faint flows of the world's remaining way. They find a place where life is, if not strong, at least stable. And they draw their power with the care of a surgeon, taking only the tiniest, most infinitesimal sip of energy, the excess life that the land can spare without being harmed. They are the artists, the monks, the secret guardians of an art that everyone and everything wants to destroy. When a Preserver casts a spell, the world remains. The grass at their feet does not die. The leaves on the tree do not wither. The magic is clean. But this path is a life of pure, unadulterated terror. The Preserver lives a life of constant, paranoid hiding. Why? Because the common man, the slave, the guard, the Templar, they cannot tell the difference. They do not see the subtle methodology. They see a person casting a spell, and to them a spell is a spell. A wizard is a wizard, and a wizard must die. So, the Preserver is hunted by all. They are hunted by the ignorant masses, who would form a lynch mob in a heartbeat. They are hunted by the Templars and the Sorcerer-Kings, who see any rival magic user as a threat to their absolute power. They are even sometimes hunted by other defilers, who see their restraint as a weakness, or who simply want to steal the spells they have so carefully hoarded. Or, to survive, the Preservers have been forced to become the most secretive and the most organized, Of all the world's rebels, they are the Veiled Alliance. The Veiled Alliance is not a guild. It is not an army. It is a secret, cell-based network of spies, mystics, and fugitives that spans the entire Tyr region. They are a whisper. They are a shadow. They use psionic dead zones to hide their meetings. Coded messages pass through merchant caravans and secret hand signs in the slave pits. They live and die by one rule. The Alliance is unseen and unheard. Their purpose is twofold. First, and most importantly, is to survive. They are the librarians of a forbidden knowledge, the last people who know the true art of magic, and they must preserve this knowledge and themselves. At any cost, they trade spells, written on scraps of dried hide or memorized in complex psionic patterns. They protect each other, smuggling a preserver out of a city just moments before the Templars kick in their door. Their second, and more dangerous, goal is to one day see the Sorcerer-King's fall. They are the only true, organized resistance in the world that has any hope of succeeding. They know that the tyrants are just the greatest of the defilers, and that so long as they rule, Athas will continue to die. But here we find the great, bitter central paradox of Dark Sun, the central moral trap. A preserver, a hero of the Veiled Alliance, is in a fight to the death with a Templar. They are outmatched. They are about to die. And they know that in a single desperate instant, they could just let go. They could stop the slow, careful sipping and just pull. They could defile. They could rip the life from the alleyway, the rats, the weeds, and unleash a spell so powerful it would incinerate their enemy. This is the temptation that every preserver faces, every single day. The temptation to use the enemy's own weapon against them, to become a defiler, just for a moment, just to survive, or perhaps just to win. And this is the tragedy. Many heroes in the Veiled Alliance, in their long, desperate war against the tyrants, have fallen to this temptation. They have defiled for the greater good. And in that moment, they have become the very thing they were fighting against. They have proven that they too are willing to kill the world, just a little bit, in order to save it. This is the razor's edge of magic on Athas. It is a power that offers the only real hope of change. And in the same breath, it is a poison that ensures the world will never ever heal. We have spoken of the tyrants in their cities, the Sorcerer-Kings who rule as gods. We have spoken of their priests, their slaves, and the secret, hopeless wars waged in the shadows of their ziggurats. But above the god-kings, above the cities, above the very world, there looms a greater and more terrible shadow. It is a shadow that all fear. It is the one terror that unites the Sorcerer-Kings, the one being that the living gods must themselves bow down to and obey. It is the shadow of the dragon. In the blighted, ignorant world of Athas, dragon is not the name of a species. There are no great colored families of dragon kind. There are no metallic dragons, no chromatic dragons, hoarding gold in mountain lairs. Those are the fairy tales of a dead world. On Athas, there is only one, a singular, capitalized, and absolute the dragon. And to the common slave of Tyr, the dragon is a force of nature. It is the apocalypse given form. It is a divine, inexplicable terror. A boogeyman in the service of the Sorcerer-Kings, a monster that comes in the deepest, darkest part of the year to demand a tithe of living flesh. The dragon, they are told, is what keeps the world stable. To appease the dragon is to survive. But this is a lie. It is the greatest and most terrible lie upon which the world is built. The dragon is not a random monster. He is not a god. He is not a force of nature. He has a name. His name is Boris. Boris of Eby. And he is the greatest failure, the greatest jailer, and the greatest prisoner of all. For Boris was once a man. He was in fact one of them. He was the 13th champion of Rajat, the first sorcerer, and like all the champions, he was given a terrible purpose. His was the genocide of the dwarves. His title, given in glory by the first sorcerer, was the Butcher of Dwarves. For centuries, Boris was ruthlessly efficient. He waged a war of such singular, focused hatred that he very nearly succeeded. He hunted the dwarves from their mountain homes, slaughtered their clans, and broke their fortresses. He drove them to the very edge of extinction, until only one last, single stronghold remained. One final city of the dwarves, led by their last king, Urquhart. Boris himself, in his arrogance, led the final assault. He met Urquhart in single combat, a battle of a king and a demigod, and while Boris was victorious, while he struck down the last dwarven king, the victory was not clean. He was gravely wounded, and in his rage and pain, he left his own terrible weapon, a psionically charged blade named Scourge, embedded in the dwarven king's corpse, and retreated. It was in this moment of weakness, this first great failure, that the seeds of betrayal took root. For it was then that Boris and the other champions learned the horrifying truth. They discovered Rajat's final secret plan. That the cleansing wars were not for the glory of humans, but for their annihilation. That they, the champions, were nothing but tools to be discarded, just like the orcs and goblins, to make way for the restoration of the ancient, poor halflings. Boris, the most powerful, the most feared, and now the most disillusioned of all the champions, orchestrated the great betrayal. He united the warring, paranoid and selfish Sorcerer-Kings under one single banner of desperation, to save their own immortal skins. They turned on their master, and in the war that followed, the world was broken a second and final time. But they could not kill Rajat, the first sorcerer, now a being of pure defiling madness, thus truly immortal. The only solution was to build a cage. They forged a prison, a hollow in the fabric of reality, and with their combined might, they cast Rajat, the Warbringer, into it. But the cage was not perfect. It was a wound in the universe, and it was screaming. Rajat's power was so vast that he immediately began to tear at its walls, to claw his way back to freedom. The prison would not hold. Boris and the others were faced with a terrible choice. The prison needed a lock, it needed a jailer, and it needed to be powered. Boris, as the leader of the rebellion, as the most powerful, took the final terrible step. The Sorcerer-Kings, all of them, were on the slow 10-stage path of transformation, a process of defiling and psionic mastery, to eventually become a dragon. It was the natural final evolution of their power. But Boris could not wait. In a desperate, world-altering ritual, the other champions gathered their strength. They focused their combined power through a terrible artifact known as the Dark Lens, and they aimed it all at Boris. They forced his transformation, catapulting him through all the remaining stages of his ascension. In a single, agonizing, screaming moment, the man Boris of eBay was annihilated. The magic and the power and the psionic trauma of it drove him utterly, completely insane, and in his place, a new, monstrous being was born. The dragon, a gargantuan creature of scales and fury, part humanoid, part nightmare, a being that flew not on wings, but on the sheer impossible force of its own psionic will, a creature whose breath was not fire, but a blast of superheated, glass-making sand. Indio, Lichtensteinschend. For a century, the mad dragon rampaged across the corpse of Athas, a mindless, godlike monster, while the other Sorcerer-Kings fled to build their cities and enslave the survivors. But when Boris's fractured, shattered mind finally pulled itself back together, when he regained his sanity, he returned to the Hollow, and he found the prison near collapse. He was the jailer, and the prison was failing. It needed power. It needed a constant, massive, and terrible infusion of life energy to maintain its wards. And so Boris, the Dragon of Tyr, established the bargain that has defined the world for 1,000 years. He flew to each of his former comrades, to each of the new, nascent Sorcerer-Kings in their new, mud-brick cities, and he laid down the law. He was the jailer, they were the wardens, and they would all pay the price to keep the warbringer caged. This is the truth of the dragon's levy. Once every year, the Dragon of Tyr rouses himself from his city, the unseen fortress palace of Erdraxa. He traces a path across the Tyr region, and he visits each of the 7 cities, and from each city, the reigning Sorcerer-King must provide him with a tribute. 1,000 living, sentient souls. Souls. They are slaves. They are criminals. They are political prisoners. They are the weak, the unwanted, and the unlucky. They are gathered in chains, and they are marched out into the wastes to be handed over to the dragon. And the dragon takes them, and he sacrifices them. He renders them down into a pure, screaming morass of life energy, and he uses that energy to fuel the great decaying engine of Rajat's prison for 1 more year. This is the great secret central economy of Athas. The Sorcerer-Kings rule their cities, but they are vassals. They are not gods, they are tenants in a prison, and Boris is the landlord, and the levy is the rent, and the levy is the rent. And they hate him for it. They hate him because he has ultimate power over them. They hate him because the levy weakens them, siphoning off 1,000 slaves that could be building their monuments, fighting their wars, or feeding their own slow, patient transformations. They hate him because he is a living, breathing reminder of their own betrayal, their own failure, and their own shared damnation. The dragon, Boris, is the great antagonist of the world. He is the ultimate symbol of fear, the engine of the slave trade, the boogeyman that keeps the cities in line. But he is also the world's savior. He is the only thing, the one singular, monstrous thing, standing between the dying world of Athas and the rabid, genocidal, and truly godlike fury of the prisoner in the hollow. Boris is the jailer, but the terrible final secret of Athas is that he too is a prisoner. He is a prisoner of his duty. He is a prisoner of his own monstrous form, and he is a prisoner of the terrible screaming and eternal choice he made to sacrifice the world in order to save it from a monster worse than himself. We have spoken of the tyrants in their mud-brick towers, and the living gods who fear their own prisoner. We have spoken of the mind-warping power of the will, and the world-murdering hunger of magic. We have spoken of the shadows of the city, and the greater, more terrible shadows of the dragon, and his ancient duty. But now, we must leave the supposed safety of the city walls. We must step out from the shadow of the ziggurat, past the Templar-guarded gates, and into the vast, terrible, and endless freedom of the wastes. To the slave toiling in the pits of Tyr, the open desert, the endless expanse of brown and red, must look like a kind of paradise, a place without walls, a place without masters, a place without the daily, casual cruelty of the whip and the brand. Not to say, indeed, this is the greatest and most cruel of all the illusions that Athas provides. The wastes are not a sanctuary, they are not a void, they are a prison, just as the city is, but this prison has no walls, only an infinite horizon. Its guards are not Templars, but the sun itself, the choking, ever-present dust, and the million ravenous things that have been forged in this planet's crucible. To escape into the wastes is not to find freedom, it is simply to exchange one slow executioner for 1,000 quicker and more monstrous ones. For the wastes are not empty. They are, in their own desperate way, full. They are full of peoples, of creatures, of secret, hidden places, and of a culture defined by a single, brutal reality. The strong, the fast, the fat, and the cunning survive. Everyone else is just food or water. The nomads, life in motion, the most prominent inhabitants of the wastes, are those who have never known another life. They are the nomadic peoples, those who have, through generations of brutal adaptation, learned to live with the rhythms of the dying world, rather than hiding from it. Oh, first, there are the elves. You must forget everything you believe you know about this name. There is no wisdom here. There is no ancient, serene grace. There is no love of the forest. The elves of Athas are a race of gaunt, hardened, and long-limbed runners, their bodies pared down by a life of constant motion, their minds honed by a culture of suspicion, trade, and merciless riding. An elven tribe is in constant motion. Their core belief, their elven way, is that to stop is to die. They are born to run, their legs capable of carrying them at a loping, tireless pace for days on end, covering vast distances that would kill a human. Their entire culture is built around this speed. They live in temporary, windswept camps, easily broken down in moments. They are the masters of the elven run, a semi-sonic, IMCon, shared state of endurance that allows a tribe to move as one, a flowing, dust-wreathed river of people, across the barren plains. To the outside world, to the caravans and the city dwellers, the elf is the ultimate and most dangerous variable. They are both merchants and raiders, and the line between the two is a matter of opportunity. An elven tribe might approach a merchant caravan with wild music, brilliant, colored cloths, and strange desert-found baubles, ready to trade stories and news for water and food. They are charismatic, fast-talking, and utterly unreliable. The next day, that very same tribe, having tested the caravan's defenses, might descend upon it like a sandstorm, their bone-tipped spears flashing. They will take the water, the food, and any slaves, killing anyone who is too slow to keep up or too weak to be of value. To the elf, this is not betrayal. It is not evil. It is simply a way. The slow, the foolish, the unwary, they are prey. The fast, the clever, the strong, they are the tribe. They are distrusted by every other race on Athas, and they return the sentiment in full, seeing the walled cities as little more than stagnant, slow-moving herds of livestock, ripe for the picking. Then, there are the truly alien nomads, the Sorcerer-King, the mantis warriors. These are not mammals, not people in any way a human would understand. They are 8 foot tall, 4-armed, chitin-plated insects, and they are perhaps the most perfectly adapted survivors on the entire planet. The Sorcerer-King are the ultimate desert predators. Their hard, chitinous exoskeleton provides a natural armor against the sun, and all but the sharpest bone weapons, they require almost no water, metabolizing what they need from the prey they eat. They do not sleep as softshells do, but enter a short, restful state of torpor, meaning their hunting packs are active and alert 24 hours a day. They communicate in a series of clicks, whirs, and pheromones. Their 4 arms make them devastating combatants, wielding obsidian hatchets and the jithka, a 2-ended bladed polearm, and many coat their weapons, or their own natural claws, with a venomous, paralyzing saliva. They are psionic by nature, but their minds are as alien as their bodies. A Sorcerer-King has no concept of good, evil, love, or mercy. They have only 2 simple, driving realities: the clutch and the hunt. If you are a member of a Sorcerer-King's clutch, their small nomadic family pack, they will defend you to the death. You are part of the collective, you are them. If you are not part of the clutch, you are, by default, one of 2 things: a threat to be eliminated or food to be hunted. They are not cruel. They are pragmatic. They will not kill a softshell their name for all other races out of malice, but they will kill them for their water, or because they are hungry, and they will feel no more remorse than a human feels for swatting a fly. To travel in Sorcerer-King territory is to be, at all times, prey. The outcasts, fugitives and predators beyond the organized tribes. The wastes are home to the desperate, the broken, and the predatory. The most feared and most common threat to any traveler are the raiders. These are the human wolves of the desert. They are often, themselves, escaped slaves or former soldiers who have deserted, or Templars who were cast out of their city in disgrace. They have banded together in small, vicious and short-lived packs, united by a single simple creed: what you have I will take. They are not like the elves. They do not trade. They do not sing. They are parasites. They haunt the rocky badlands and the high, broken plateaus, watching the caravan routes. They watch for the weak. They watch for the solitary traveler, and they strike. They do not raid for gold or for treasure. They raid for the only thing that matters: water. They will slaughter a dozen people to steal a single, full water skin. They will burn a wagon for the scraps of food inside. They are the living embodiment of the world's desperation, and they show no mercy, for the world has never, ever shown any to them. And then there are the most desperate of all, the slave tribes. These are the communities of runaways. They are the men and women who against all odds did make it over the wall, who did survive the desert, and who have now banded together in a last, desperate attempt to create a life. They live in the most hidden, most inhospitable, and most secret places in the wastes. A hidden canyon, a cave system, a tiny forgotten oasis that only they know. Their existence is a life of pure, unadulterated paranoia. They live under a constant double shadow of fear. First, they fear the wastes themselves, the raiders, the monsters, the thirst. But worse, much worse, they fear the world they left behind. For the Sorcerer-Kings do not forgive, and they never forget. A slave tribe is, at all times, being hunted. The Templars of the cities, particularly from Uruk and Tyre, send out regular patrols of slave trackers, known as Kryn. These are ruthless, professional bounty hunters, often half-giants or elven trackers, whose entire job is to hunt down escaped slaves. They do not just do this to reclaim property, they do it as a lesson. They will slaughter an entire slave village, crucifying the leaders and dragging the children back in chains, all to prove the simple, terrible point: there is no escape. To be a runaway slave is to live in a state of constant, terrified vigilance, where every cloud of dust on the horizon is a potential death sentence, and every new face, every fellow runaway, is a potential spy, sent to betray them all for a few cups of water. The secret life. Oses and guardians, but in all this horror, there is a flicker of life. The wastes are not just a killing field. There are, in the deepest, most hidden corners, small, fragile pockets of life. These are the villages of the wastes. They are not cities. They are tiny, huddled communities of a few dozen, or perhaps a few hundred, built around the one precious resource that the cities control. A hidden well, a tiny spring, a small, fertile-grounded oasis, hidden in a box canyon, where the red sun's glare is blunted for a few hours a day. These villages are, without exception, the most paranoid and suspicious places on Athas. They are armed camps. They are walled, not with mud brick, but with sharpened, petrified wood, and the bones of giant monsters. They are surrounded by traps. They are surrounded by traps, and watched at all times by sentries hidden in the rocks. Ishti, indicate sound, unitanadion, amakanasarsi. To approach a desert village is to be met not with a welcome, but with a dozen poison-tipped obsidian arrows, all aimed at your head. The first question is not "Who are you?" It is "Why are you here?" And the second is "Where is your water?" To be a stranger is to be a threat. A stranger is a raider, a scout for a larger force. A stranger is a Templar spy. A stranger is at best another mouth to feed, another body to drain the precious, life-giving well. But it is in these tiny, isolated places that you will find the other great secret power of Athas. You will not find the Veiled Alliance here. You will not find the Templars. Here in the last, dying pockets of the natural world, you will find the Druids and the Elemental Priests. Here, the gods are dead or silent. But the elements themselves, the raw, fundamental, and angry spirits of earth, air, fire, and water, they are still here, and they have their own desperate worshippers. An elemental priest is not a cleric in the way of other worlds. They do not pray to a benevolent god of the sun. They make pacts with the screaming, insane spirit of the fire. They bargain with the choking, mournful spirit of the dust sea. They appease the raging, howling spirit of the wind. And in return, they are granted a measure of terrible, chaotic power. They can call fire from the air, or summon a sandstorm to tear their enemies to shreds. They are as wild, as dangerous, and as unpredictable as the elements they serve. But the Druids are something else. They are the truest, and perhaps the saddest, of all the world's heroes. A Druid of Athas is not a gentle forest-dwelling hermit. They are a guerrilla warrior for a dead world. Each Druid is bound, body and soul, to a single tiny, precious guarded land. It is not a forest. It is not a jungle. It might be a single, ancient and still living tree. It might be a rare, pure water spring. It might be a small grove of thorny bushes where a rare, desert-dwelling animal still lives. This is their life. It is their sacred and final charge. They will, and they must, protect this tiny scrap of life from the world. They are the secret guardians of the Oses. They are the ones who use their meager, life-giving powers to nurture the land, to coax a tiny patch of green in a world of brown. In so, down, and they will kill to protect it. A Druid is a figure of terrifying, righteous rage. They are not just fighting raiders. They are fighting the fundamental, world-killing force of defiling. To a Druid, a preserver is a fool. A preserver is a fool. But a defiler is the enemy. It is the walking plague, and they will hunt them, and any who aid them, with a fanaticism that makes a Templar look reasonable. These are the people of the wastes. They are the nomads, the raiders, the slaves, and the secret, fanatical guardians. It is not an empty land. It is a land full of desperate, violent, and broken life, all fighting for the last few drops of water under the hateful burning eye of the red sun. Welcome back. We have spent our time in the cities of bone and fear. We have walked the endless sun-scorched wastes and met the desperate, violent peoples who call them home. We have seen the world through the eyes of the slave, the Templar, the nomad, and the secret hidden Druid. But in all this time, we have only spoken of the people of Athas. We have only spoken of the descendants of humans, elves, dwarves, and the like. We have not yet spoken of the true, native masters of the dying world. We have not spoken of the monsters. Forget the creatures of other worlds' tales. Forget the goblins, the orcs, and the chromatic dragons. Rajat's cleansing wars wiped them from the world. They are gone, erased. Their names are not even a memory. The creatures that survived, and the new horrors that were born in the crucible of the red sun, are a different and far more terrible order of life. The monsters of Athas are not just wandering beasts. They are a reflection of the world's soul. They are all, without exception, brutal, efficient, and desperate survivors. They are armored, they are venomous, and they are, almost universally, psionic. They have evolved in a world that is actively trying to kill them, and in doing so, they have become the world's most perfect and efficient killers. When a traveler in the waste dies, it is rarely from thirst or hunger. It is because they have stumbled into the path of a creature that has mastered this brutal, unforgiving land. Let us speak of the most common and most iconic of Athas's true inhabitants. You do not use horses in the wastes. They are soft, as a nomad would say. They need too much water, too much food, and the sun kills them. No, on Athas you use kanks. A kank is a massive, docile, and utterly alien insectoid. They are the size of a pony, a black and yellow chitin-plated, ant-like creature with a cluster of multifaceted eyes and long segmented legs. They are the true beasts of burden. They are miraculously docile. They can go for days on a few thorny scrubs. They require almost no water, and they provide one of the staples of the Athasian diet, their honey, from a specialized pulsing green globule on their abdomen. Kanks secrete a thick and life-giving green nectar. This food, for many a caravan, is the only thing that stands between them and starvation. To a merchant, a kank is not a beast. It is a walking, living larder and water skin, and it is more valuable than any slave. But where there is the docile kank, there is its monstrous, nightmarish cousin, the tembo. Imagine the kank, but evolved for war. It is a massive, predatory, and utterly vicious insectoid, armored in black chitin, with mandibles that can shear a man in half. They are psionic, projecting an aura of pure, paralyzing dread that freezes their prey in place, allowing the pack to descend and tear them to shreds. Elven tribes have been known to hunt and tame these creatures, or at least enter a pact with them, using them as living, terrifying war machines, unleashing them on caravans to sow panic before the true raid begins. If you are a traveler, you will also use a Krodlu. Imagine a creature that should not exist, a massive, two-legged, scaled beast, like the raptors of a forgotten age. It is a creature of pure reptilian endurance, a fast, long-striding mount with a snapping tooth-filled maw. They are ill-tempered, vicious, and constantly hungry, but they are fast, and they are tough. They are the war mounts of the wastes, the cavalry of the raider bands, and a common sight in the gladiatorial arenas. But if you are truly wealthy, if you are a Templar or a great merchant lord, you will not ride a Krodlu. You will ride an Erdlu. The Erdlu is a mockery of life, a bipedal, scaled, and utterly debased creature, looking much like its Krodlu cousin, but more massive, more powerful, and bred for one purpose: to be a living beast of burden, a wagon that walks. Their masters, often through cruel, psionic surgery, will have platforms bolted and grafted into the creature's back and flesh, turning the beast itself into a living transport, a sign of decadent, horrific wealth. These are the tame beasts. The horrors of the wild are far, far worse. There is the Inyx, the great, six-legged, armored lizard of the stony badlands. It is a creature the size of a small hut, its hide so thick that a bone spear will shatter against it. They are the tanks of the desert, hunted by tribes for their near impenetrable hide, which is used for shields and armor. and for the sheer massive amount of meat and water their bodies hold. To hunt an Inyx is a multi-day affair, a war of attrition, with the hunters slowly, passionately, trying to find a gap in its armor before the beast tramples them to a red pace. But all those creatures, they live on the land. The true, ancient terror of Athas lives below it. We speak of the silt horrors. The sea of silt, that endless, choking ocean of dust, is not empty. It is a hunting ground, and the silt horror is its apex predator. These are not a single creature. They are a type of horror, a species of nightmare. They are a mass of writhing, searching, miles-long tentacles, all attached to a central hidden and impossible ancient intelligence that burrows deep, deep beneath the dust, in the true rocky bottom of the dead ocean. They do not hunt by sight. They taste the world through psionic vibrations. A silt skimmer, gliding over the dust, feels like a ripple on the surface of a pond. A caravan, walking too close to the edge of the silt sea, feels like a dinner bell. The attack is a thing of silent, immediate, and absolute terror. The dust will erupt. A tentacle, thicker than a man is tall, will emerge with the sound of a collapsing building, and it will find you. It will coil around a kank, a man, an entire wagon, and drag it, screaming down into the choking, suffocating, absolute darkness of the dust, where the creature's hidden, grinding maw waits. There is no fighting a silt horror. There is only not being where it can find you. And then there is the most insidious, most terrifying, and most intelligent of the wasteland's monsters, a creature that is not a beast, a creature that is a civilization, the Belgoi. The Belgoi were humanoid. They are gaunt, emaciated, and utterly debased creatures, their skin pulled tight over their bones, their eyes burning with a hateful red glowing psionic intelligence. They are a race of degenerate, zombie-like cannibals, but their horror is not in their hunger, it is in their method. The Belgoi hunt with their minds. They are all universally powerful telepaths. They will find a solitary traveler, or a small, huddled slave tribe, and they will not attack, not at first. They will whisper, they will reach into the minds of their prey, and they will, with a slow, careful, and artistic patience, drive them insane. They will project visions of a deep, cool water oasis just over the next dune. They will make a man's wife appear before him, beckoning him into a cave. They will whisper to a man that his friend is a Templar spy, that he has stolen his water, that he is planning to murder him in his sleep. They will psionically and systematically dismantle a group's sanity. They will turn friend against friend, setting a camp to murdering each other, all while the Belgoi sit on a ridge, watching with their minds and savoring the terror, the paranoia, and the psychic taste of the madness. And only when their prey is utterly broken, when they are a gibbering, weeping, or catatonic wreck, do the Belgoi descend. They do not just eat their prey's flesh. They are psychic vampires. They are feasting on the trauma, the despair, and the shattered, psychic remnant of the soul. Nilui. This is the world of Athas. It is a world where the line between people and monsters is a joke. It is a world where the horrors are not just physical, but mental. It is a world where the very predators have evolved to use your own mind. It is a world where the very predators have evolved to use your own hope, and your own fear as their primary and most terrible weapon. We have spoken of the powers that rule from on high, the Sorcerer-Kings on their thrones of bone and mud, and the distant terrible dragon who is their master and their prisoner. We have spoken of the powers hidden below, the Veiled Alliance, the Druids, and the Psionic Orders, all waging their secret wars in the shadows. But now, we must speak of the third, and perhaps the most visible, of all the great powers of Athas. They are a power that rules, not through magic nor through secrecy, but through the simple, brutal, and absolute control of survival. They are the great merchant houses. Do not let the name fool you. These are not small, independent shop owners or smiling, rotund men with a mule cart of pots. The merchant houses of Athas are vast, dynastic, and unimaginably powerful organizations. They are quasi-fiefdoms. Part corporation, part mafia, and part dynasty. They are the only true, functioning intercity power on the entire continent, save for the dragon himself. The Sorcerer-Kings control the wells of the cities, but the merchant houses control the arteries that run between them. And in a dying world, it is the one who controls the flow of blood, of water, of food, and of slaves, who holds a unique and terrible kind of power. Indal, Anichaun, and Danabstara. Adtu. A merchant house is not a business. It is a nation-state on wheels. Each is ruled by a powerful, cunning, and often centuries-old figure known as a dynast, a title that carries every ounce of the hereditary, absolute power it implies. These dynasts, from their fortified compounds in the great cities, command vast legions. They command the caravans. These are not just a few wagons. A great house caravan is a city in motion. It is a column of men, beasts, and goods that can stretch for a mile or more across the wastes. It is a lumbering, precious beast. It is a lumbering, made of hundreds of canks, laden with honeydew, water, and trade goods. It is protected by dozens of specially bred mules, the perfect, tireless slave soldiers, and it is guided and guarded by the house's most precious assets, its trained scionists, and its hardened mercenaries. The merchant houses are the single largest employers of psionic talent on Athas. Where the Sorcerer-Kings hunt or enslave powerful psionists, the houses recruit them. They find a young, gifted telepath in the slums, and they offer them a choice. Be hunted or be paid, be a victim or be a master. They become the caravan's scouts, the telepaths who scan the ridges for elven raiders, or the mines of Belgoy. They are the clairsentients who taste the future, sensing a coming sandstorm, or the psychokinetics who can, with a thought, hurl a raider's crodlu to the ground. The houses control the trade of everything. They control food, moving the grain from Uruk's meager fields to the starving masses of Ram. They control weapons, a massive black market and open market trade in obsidian shards, bone-tipped spears, and chitin armor. They control information. A caravan master is the most well-informed person on Athas. They know the mood of Tyre, the price of slaves in Dra, the location of a new raider band, and the latest paranoid decree of the Shadow King. This information is a currency more valuable than water, and they sell it to the highest bidder, usually a Templar or a rival house. And, of course, they control slaves. The merchant houses are the engine of the great Athasian slave trade. They are the ones who buy the captives from elven raids, the prisoners from Urik's wars, and the children sold by desperate families in the slums. And they are the ones who transport them, in chains from one city to another, to be sold in the markets of Tyr, or to die in the arenas of Gaul. This brings us to their most complex and most dangerous relationship, their pact with the Sorcerer-Kings. The Sorcerer-Kings despise the merchant houses. They are the one single power that they do not and cannot fully control. The houses claim neutrality. They are apolitical. They serve all and are loyal to none. This, of course, is a lie. But it is a necessary lie. The god King Kalak needs the houses. He needs them to bring him the iron wood from the ringing mountains for his ziggurat. He needs them to bring him the exotic poisoned spices that his rival Hamanu does not have. He needs them to sell the slaves he captures, turning them into food, water, and more wealth. And so he grants the merchant houses a special protected status. They are allowed to maintain their own armed compounds within his city. They are allowed to travel, to pass his gates, to use his wells. But this is a relationship of pure paranoid tension. A sorcerer-king cannot allow a house to become too powerful, and a house cannot allow a king to think they are. It is a constant cold war of espionage, assassination, and leverage. A Templar may discover that a House Sham caravan was secretly smuggling weapons to a slave tribe, and seize the entire caravan. In response, a rival city like Urik might find its supply of Nibnese silk mysteriously dry up for a year. Or a key Templar, one who has been making too much trouble, might be found in an alley with a poisoned elven dagger in his back, a tragic casualty of a raider attack that, somehow, no one saw. The great houses, like the Sorcerer-Kings, are all unique, each with their own specialty, their own history, and their own bitter rivalries. House Sham is one of the oldest and most powerful. They are the masters of the long haul, the only ones daring or wealthy enough to run the truly suicidal trade routes across the Silt Sea or into the deep wastes. They trade in information. And their dynasty is said to know more secrets than the Templars of all 7 cities combined. House Talaxa is a rival, a newer, more aggressive, and more ruthless house. They are slavers, pure and simple. They have perfected the art, and they do not care how they acquire their goods. They are known to fund raider bands. To start wars between tribes, all to ensure their caravans are full and the auction blocks are stocked. House Mackay is the strangest. They are not human. They are a house run by and for the elusive nomadic Thry-Kreen. They do not trade in slaves or in food. They trade in the things the Mantis warriors value. Rare toxic venoms, perfectly crafted obsidian weapons, and, it is whispered, the psychic essence of rare hunted monsters. To be born into a merchant house is to be born into a life of absolute, brutal, and backstabbing loyalty. You are a part of the house, body and soul. You will marry who the dynast tells you to marry. You will die to protect a cankload of grain, not because the grain is valuable, but because the reputation of the house is to betray a house is the only and the last sin. The punishment is to be dishoused, to be cast out, alone, into the wastes, with no water, no food, and no name. It is a death sentence, and a slow one. Cheolkari. The merchant houses are the great, hypocritical, and utterly necessary evil of Athas. They are slavers, they are spies, they are assassins and war profiteers. They are the ones who, for a few scraps of coin, will sell a city, the rope it will use to hang itself. But they are also the only thing holding the world together. They are the circulatory system. They are the ones who bring the water to the thirsty, and the food to the starving for a price. They are the ones who, in their endless selfish and profit-driven quest, keep the lines of communication open. They are the only free people on Athas, and they have purchased that freedom, generation after generation, with a river of blood, honey, and lies. We have spent our time in the dying world, that is, we have spoken of the tyrants, the slaves, the monsters, and the merchants. We have accepted the world as a static, unending nightmare, a prison from which there is no escape. But what if that is not true? What if the prison, after 1,000 years of unshakable absolute rule, could break? What if a god could die? For 1,000 years, the city-state of Tyr has been the personal, brutal, and obsessive domain of the Sorcerer-King Kalak. Like all his brethren, he is an immortal traitor, a champion of Rajat, a master of the will and the way. But unlike the militaristic Hamanu or the reclusive Naibane, Kalak, for the last several centuries, has been driven by a single, all-consuming obsession: the ziggurat. It looms over Tyr, a monument of such impossible scale that it dwarfs the mountains. It is a structure of mud brick, stone, and bone, a literal man-made mountain, and it is the grave of 1,000,000 slaves for 10 long generations. The entire economy, the entire purpose of the city of Tyr has been to feed this one monolithic project. The quarries are stripped, the slave pits are overflowing, the whips of the Templars crack from sunup to sundown, all in service of the ziggurat. The people of Tyr, from the free artisans to the lowest, most broken slave, believe they know its purpose. It is a temple. It is a monument to Kalak's ego. It is a fortress. It is a symbol of his power. They are all wrong. As our story begins, the city is a powder keg. The ziggurat is, at last, nearly complete. Its final terrible capstone is ready to be laid, but the strain on the city has reached a breaking point. The slave pits are starving. The free men are taxed into destitution, and the Templars, led by the ambitious and cunning High Templar, Tithian, are stretching their resources to the limit, suppressing dozens of small, desperate uprisings every single day. And there is another shadow, the shadow of the dragon. The levy is due. The day approaches when Boris the dragon will arrive to claim his tribute of 1,000 souls. And for the first time in 1,000 years, Kalak seems to be preparing to defy it. He has ordered the city gates sealed, he has ordered his armies to the walls, and he has announced a great and last gladiatorial game to celebrate the completion of his life's work. This is where our story truly begins. Not with armies, not with kings, but in the blood-soaked sand of the arena, and in the secret, hidden shadows of the city. In the arenas, there is a champion, a mole, a gladiator bred for the pits, a creature of inhuman strength and endurance. His name is Rikus. He is the greatest gladiator in Tyr's history. He is a master of the arena. He is also a slave who, in his heart, has never bowed. He has seen his friends and his lovers die on the sand for a crowd's amusement, and a quiet, burning and patient rage has been building in him for years. In the shadows, there is a slave girl, a serving wench in the great noble houses. Her name is Sadira. She is unassuming and unnoticed. She is also a liar. Sadira is a master preserver, one of the most powerful and well-trained agents of the Veiled Alliance. She has been sent to Tyr on a suicide mission, to discover Kalak's true purpose, to assess the ziggurat, and if possible, to find a way to kill the unkillable. In the high decadent towers of the city's nobility, there is aegis of Asticles. He is a noble, a man from a wealthy, powerful, and utterly debased family. His life a pointless, endless cycle of wine slaves and psionic dream halls. He is also one of the most powerful psionists in the city, a master of the will, and he is bored. He is bored with the world he has already conquered, and he is looking for a game that is worth his time. And on the ziggurat itself, there is Tithian, the High Templar, the right hand of Kalak. He is a man who has stood at the foot of his god for decades, and he, alone, has pieced together the horrifying final truth. Kalak's ziggurat is not a temple. It is a weapon. It is a vast, arcane and psionic machine, a defiling engine. Kalak does not intend to pay the dragon's levy. He intends to become the dragon's master. His plan is one of such singular genocidal arrogance that it almost defies comprehension. He intends to use the levy and the entire population of Tyr, slave and free alike, as a focus. He is going to perform a ritual, a spell of such world-altering defiling that it will drain the life force from every living soul in the city in a single screaming instant. He will channel this ocean of life energy, this meta levy, into the ziggurat, and the ziggurat, acting as a massive, terrible lens, will focus it all into him. In a single, agonizing moment, he will complete the 10-stage transformation. He will force his own ascension. He will become a dragon, a new dragon, one more powerful, perhaps, than Boris himself, one fed on the souls of an entire city, rather than just 1,000 slaves. This is Kalak's true plan, to become a godlike being, to slay Boris, and to end the stalemate, ruling Athas as its new, absolute and singular master. Tithian sees this, and he knows that every living soul includes him. His god, his master, intends to consume him, along with everyone else. And so Tithian, the ultimate loyal Templar, decides to betray his god. But he cannot do it alone. He is one man. He needs a weapon. He needs pawns. He finds his pawns. He arranges for the noble Aegis to be at the games. He uses his Templar authority to buy the gladiator Rikus, freeing him from the pits and making him his personal and confused bodyguard. He uses his network of spies to discover the preserver, Sadira. But instead of arresting her, he contacts her, offering her the one thing she wants: access to the ziggurat and a chance to kill the king. The day of the great games arrives. The city is sealed. The air is thick with a terrible psionic tension. The dragon is coming. Kalak, from the pinnacle of his ziggurat, begins his dark ritual, the air beginning to shimmer, the life force of the crowd in the arena beginning to drain. So, Antitheon sets his plan in motion. He uses his authority to get Aegis, Ricus, and Sadira to the top of the ziggurat under the guise of being honor guards for the king's ritual. He points them at their god, and he gives them the one, simple, impossible order: kill him. The battle that follows is not one of mortals, it is a battle of demigods. Aegis, the Scionist, hurls his very will at the Sorcerer-King. A battle of minds that cracks the stone around them. Ricus, the gladiator, does the only thing he knows how. He attacks, his bone weapons shattering, his mullish endurance the only thing keeping him from being annihilated by a stray thought. But it is Sadira, the preserver, who finds the key. She sees the ritual, she sees the ziggurat pulling the life from the city, and she sees the artifact at the center of it all, a strange obsidian and metal spear, humming with a terrible, dark energy. Endio, it is Kalak's own ancient weapon, the very spear he is using to focus the defiling power. In a desperate, final act, as Kalak is about to brush his mortal annoyances aside, Sadira uses her magic, and Ricus uses his strength, and they turn the weapon. They do not just attack Kalak, they impale him with his own life-draining spear, with his own life-draining spear. The effect is instantaneous, and it is catastrophic. The ritual is not just broken, it is reversed. The ziggurat, for one terrible moment, acts as it was designed to, but instead of drawing power from the city, it draws power from its master. Kalak, the Sorcerer-King, the living god of Tyr for 1,000 years, screams. It is a sound that shatters the minds of half the city. He is impaled on his own power-hungry weapon, and all the life, all the power, all the stolen magic he has hoarded for a millennium is vacuumed out of him. He is unmade, he withers, he turns to ash, to dust, and then to nothing. The ziggurat, its purpose now a paradox, its master gone, crumbles, its top half collapsing in a mountain-sized avalanche of mud, brick, and bone. And for a full minute, there is silence. And then, the city explodes. The slaves, the ones in the arena, the ones in the pits, realize what has happened. The psionic presence, the boot heel of Kalak's mind that has been on their necks for their entire lives, is gone. The Templars, their hands glowing with borrowed magic, suddenly find their hands empty. Their connection to their master, their source of power, is severed. They are just men, in robes, in a city of newly freed slaves who hate them. The city of Tyr erupts into a single massive, bloody and joyous riot. Slaves slaughter their masters. The free men who aided the Templars are torn to pieces in the streets. The nobles, like Argis's family, are dragged from their towers and beheaded. The city is on fire. And Tithyon, the traitor, stands on the ruins of the ziggurat, a broken Ricus and a terrified Sadira beside him, and he smiles. He proclaims himself the new king of Tyr, the liberator, his plan having worked perfectly. The city of Tyr is free. It is the first and only free city on all of Athas. But the celebration, the blood, the fire, it all stops. A new shadow falls over the city. It is not a shadow of the ziggurat. It is a shadow from the sky. The day has come. The levy is due. And Boris, the dragon of Tyr, has arrived. He has come, as he has for 1,000 years, to collect his 1,000 souls, and he finds a city in flames, a dead Sorcerer-King, his ziggurat in ruins, and no slaves waiting for him at the gate. The free city of Tyr has, in its first glorious moment of freedom, just defaulted on its rent, and the landlord is at the door. Welcome back. The shadow that falls over Tyr is not the shadow of a cloud. A cloud would be a miracle. It is the shadow of a thing that blots out the hateful crimson sun. It is a presence of such suffocating psionic weight that the entire rioting, newly freed city of Tyr is struck dumb. The fires stop burning. The screams of joy and vengeance die in a million throats. Every man, woman, and child, from the gutters to the half-ruined ziggurat, falls to their knees, their minds screaming, their hands clawing at their temples. It is the dragon, and he has come for his rent. Boris, the butcher of dwarves, the jailer of Rajat, the monster of Athas, descends. He does not fly with wings. He has none. He flies on the sheer, impossible, burning hot force of his own, godlike psionic will. He is a mountain of scales, muscle, and ancient, obsidian-like bone. His form a monstrous twisted mockery of the man he once was. He settles his gargantuan, clawed feet onto the city's main square, crushing a triumphal arch, a slave market, and 100 people without noticing. Enjoy. He speaks, but it is not a sound. It is a telepathic roar that shatters the windows of every building for a mile, and shatters the sanity of those too weak to bear it. Where is my tith? Hey. His mind, a screaming vortex of rage, duty, and ancient madness, washes over the city. And it feels the truth. It feels the dead Sorcerer-King. It feels the severed lines of power. It feels the broken ziggurat. Dead. A fool. He sought to steal from me. The dragon's mind turns, an eye of fire, and it looks at the ruins of the ziggurat, and it finds them, the 4 tiny, flickering sparks of life that dared to do this. Tithian, Agis, Sadira, and Rikus, Sadira. You endure. A wave of pure, psionic hate slams into them, a force that sends them flying. Rikus the Mole, his superhuman endurance the only thing saving him, feels his bones crack. Agis the Scion screams as his own. Masterful mental shields are not just broken, but shattered into a million psychic pieces. Sadira, the Preserver, feels her life force begin to leach from her body, the very air around the dragon a defiling, life-drinking vortex. And Tithian, the new King Tithian, just smiles, his hands raised, his mind projecting the only thing he has, submission and a bargain. Great Boris, Tithian projects, his own psionic voice a thin, reedy whisper next to the dragon's roar. The fool Kalak betrayed you. He sought to defy the natural order. We did not kill a king. Great Boris, we executed a traitor. We have done you a service." The dragon's mind burns with laughter. It is a sound like a mountain range grinding together. "Service? You are vermin. You have broken my city. You have failed to pay my price. You will burn. All of you. I will take my 1,000 souls, and 1,000 more, and 1,000 more. I will render this city to dust, and my prison will be fueled on the ashes of your freedom." Freed. Boris draws in a breath. It is not air he breathes. It is the life of the city. The few, brave green plants in the nobles' gardens wither to black ash. The weak, the old, the infants in the slums die. Their life force siphoned away in an instant to fuel his coming attack. He is going to breathe, and terror will be gone. And then a new voice speaks. It is not a living voice. It is a voice of dust, of ages, of unhealable wounds, and of a focus so powerful it has defied even death. It is a whisper that comes from the earth of terror itself, from the stone foundations beneath the city. "Butcher. Endesenen. Bow." The dragon freezes. His attack, half-formed, dies in his throat. His vast, terrible, psionic mind, a storm of rage, stills turning inward. It is a name he has not heard, not truly. In an age, a name that plucks a string so deep in his fractured, insane mind that all else stops. Butcher of dwarves. The voice is weak, but it is everywhere. It is the ghost of Arkad, the last dwarven king, the king Boris himself had killed, but had failed to see. A dwarf cannot truly die until his focus is complete. And Arkad's focus was to protect his people. "It is not finished, Butcher," the ghostly, psionic voice whispers, for only the dragon to hear. "You failed. You, in your arrogance, you failed. You struck me down, but you did not strike down my people." The dragon's vast head cocks to one side, his red burning eyes staring at nothing, and at everything. His mind, his original mind, the mind of the champion Boris, the one whose entire immortal purpose was the genocide of the dwarves. Sides on this? A failure? An unfinished task? No. Boris projects, his voice no longer a roar, but a confused, hissing, obsessive whisper. "They are dead. I killed them. I broke the last. You lie," whispers the ghost of Arkad. "You left a remnant. You left one. The last city. They live. They hide. My focus holds your work is not done." Tithyan feels this. He feels the dragon's attention shift from pure world-ending rage to a new, terrible and obsessive confusion. And in that half-second Tithyan, the ultimate pragmatist, sees his one, single, insana chance. He scrambles to his feet, his mind racing. "Great Boris," he projects, his voice now slick and fast. "The levy, we cannot pay it. The slaves are gone, but we can offer you a new tithe, a better tithe, a tithe of war." The dragon's gaze snaps back to him. "War? Yes," Tithyan screams, gesturing wildly at the cowering, newly freed populace. "These people, They are not slaves, they are an army, Kalak's army. Now mine, we are your servants. Send us this last city that the ghost speaks of. We will be your scourge. We will finish your great work. We will be the army that ends the dwarves in your name. A tithe of blood, of genocide, of genocide. There is a long, terrible silence. The city of Tyr does not breathe. The dragon's mind is a storm, but a different storm. The maddening, all-consuming duty of the prison is now warring with the ancient obsessive, all-consuming focus of the butcher. Yo, and the focus is winning. The dragon's great scaled head looks at Tithyan. It looks at the ghost it can see. It looks at the cowering city. 1 year. The word slams the city like a physical blow. You will be my hand, my legion. You will go to this last city, and you will finish my work. You will bring me the dust of the dwarves. The dragon turns. I will accept this as a tithe for 1 year. But if you fail, if you are not on your path, if you lie, I will return, and my prison will be fed. I have work to do. And with that, Boris, the dragon, leaps into the sky, propelled by a psychic blast that shatters the ground where he stood. He is not flying to his palace. He is flying, for the first time in millennia, to the mountains, to the site of his failure, to hunt. He is gone. Indal. The shadow is lifted. The city of Tyr breathes. A single collective weeping, screaming gasp. They are alive. They are free. Tithyan, his robes torn, his face bleeding, pulls himself to the highest point of the ruined ziggurat. He looks down at his city. People of Tyr, he cries, his voice now his own. We have done it. We have faced the dragon, and we have bargained. We are truly free. A confused, ragged, and desperate cheer rises from the city. And in the shadows of the ruin, Rikus, the mole, shoves an obsidian shard into Tithyan's back. Bargained. He snarls, his voice a low, dangerous growl. Free? You just sold us, you son of a bitch. You just sold our entire free city into a new war, into a genocide. Ow. Tithyan doesn't even flinch. He just smiles, a thin, cold, and utterly triumphant smile. He turns to the gladiator, the hero of Tyr. Sold you? He scoffs. No, Rikus. I just promoted you. You're the hero who killed a god. The city loves you. And now, you're the hero who's going to save them. I need a general. I need a leader for my new Crimson Legion. Someone to take this rabble and march them off to war. Congratulations, General. And in that moment, Rikus, Sadira, and Aegis realize the true, horrifying, and perfect nature of the Dark Sun. They have, in their desperate attempt to win their freedom, just forged a new and more terrible set of chains. Tyr is free, but their freedom is a lie, a 1-year stay of execution, bought and paid for by a promise of blood. The dragon is gone, his shadow, a psionic stain of pure ancient terror, has lifted from the city of Tyr. For a full, breathless, agonizing minute, the only sound in the newly freed city is the echo of his psychic voice. 1 year, and the collective, million-throated, weeping gasp of a populace that has just been pushed through the eye of a needle. They are alive. They are alive. They are, against all reason, all history, and all hope. Alive, alive. But they are not, as Tithien has just screamed. Free. They are in new hands. On the ruined, smoking pinnacle of the ziggurat, the 4 architects of this impossible, catastrophic, and accidental new reality stand in the blood-red sunlight. And the schism, the break that will define the new age, happens in an instant. Ricus, the mole, the gladiator, the general, his entire massive frame, trembling not with fear, but with a rage so pure, it is almost white-hot, is the first to truly understand. The obsidian shard in his hand, the one he had pressed to Tithien's spine, is no longer a threat. It is a useless, broken toy. You sold us, he snarls, his voice a low, grinding growl, the sound of stone on bone. You just sold us from one master to a worse one. You have put a new collar on this entire city and given the leash to the dragon. Tithien, the new king, a man of pure, cold, and perfect pragmatism, does not even turn. He straightens his torn, ash-stained Templar robes. He looks down, not at Ricus, but at his city. He sees the chaos. He sees the fires. He sees the rioting, leaderless, and now terrified mobs. And he sees an opportunity. Sold you, General. Tithien's voice is calm, reasonable, and utterly reptilian. I have saved you. I have saved all of this. He gestures to the horizon, where the dragon is now just a disappearing psionic speck. That was the end of the world. And I bought us a year. To do what? Sadira. The preserver speaks, her voice shaking, her mind still reeling from the psychic backlash of the dragon's presence. To become a genocidal army? To go and finish the dragon's ancient war? We fought to end tyranny. Not to redirect it. Not to redirect it. Tithien. Turns. And his face is not the face of a triumphant king. It is the face of a weary, frustrated, and deeply annoyed administrator. You live in a world of dreams, preserver. He sighs, as if explaining a simple sum to a child. You think you've won something. You think this, he gestures to the rioting, burning city below, is freedom. Look at it, look at it, look at it. And they do. The city of Tyr, in its first hour of freedom, is a vision of pure, unadulterated chaos. The celebration of Kalak's death has, in the wake of the dragon's appearance, turned to sheer, blind panic. The slave uprising has not stopped. It has just become more desperate. Mobs are not tearing down the statues of Kalak for liberty. They are tearing them down to hide, to find stones to hurl at the sky. And worse, the system is broken. The Templars, the bureaucratic, magical and judicial glue of the city are gone. In the instant of Kalak's death, their link to their master was severed. Their magic, that borrowed, divine-like power vanished. They are in a single moment just men in robes, and they are men who have spent a lifetime lording their power over a brutalized, hateful, and now armed populace. All across the city, the Templars are being hunted. They are being dragged from their towers, cornered in alleyways, and torn limb from limb by mobs of slaves who are, for the first time, not afraid of magical retribution. The entire power structure of Tyr, the police, the judges, the administrators, is being lynched. That, Tithian says, pointing to a plume of smoke rising from the Templar barracks, is freedom, and in 3 days, that freedom will become famine. He is right, and the others, in their horrified hearts, know it. Kirk didn't just rule. He managed. He managed the one thing that mattered, the water, the great, deep, ancient wells of Tyr. He and his Templars rationed it, controlled it, and distributed it. Now the Templars are dead, and the wells are unguarded. Mobs of the thirsty, the desperate, and the opportunistic are, at this very moment, fighting to the death at the wellheads, not to share the water, but to hoard it. They are killing each other for a single, muddy cup. So Leon. Nishti Gilnena. He managed the food. The granaries, filled with cank honey and tough desert grain, were under Templar lock and key. Now their doors are broken. The food is being liberated, which means it is being stolen. It is being taken by the strong. It is being taken by the strong, and the weak are being left to starve. No. This city, Tithian says, his voice a cold, hard blade, has 3 days before it eats itself. Before the freedom you have won, Sadira, turns this city into a cannibal pit, a charnel house of thirst and starvation. And in 1 year, and the dragon, who will not care if we are starving, will return. And he will find us. And he will find us wanting, and he will burn this world to ash. He steps closer to Rikus. He does not posture. He does not threaten. He explains. I have not sold us, General. I have given us a purpose, a unifying purpose, a single, clear, and absolute goal that will stop this city from devouring itself. I have given us an enemy, one that we can fight. The dwarves, Rikus spits, an innocent people. We are to become the butchers, just like him. We are to survive, Rikus, Tithian snaps, his mask of calm finally cracking. We will say we are going to fight the dwarves. We will march towards the dwarves. We will build an army, a new army, a free army, the Crimson Legion of Tyr. And in building that army, I will have a reason to take the wells. I will have a reason to seize the granaries. I will have a reason to restore order. I will give food and water and weapons to those who enlist, and in 1 year, who knows? TV Tithian's eyes glitter with a terrible ancient cunning. Perhaps we will find this last city, and perhaps, as you have just suggested, we will not find an enemy, but an ally. Perhaps the dwarves know a secret, a way to fight the dragon. Kalak sought to become a god. I'm simply a man, trying to keep a city alive. The lie is so perfect, so beautiful, and so necessary that it poisons the air. Agis of Asticles, the scion, who has been silent this entire time, cleaning the blood from a psionically charged silver earring, finally laughs. It is a dry, cold, and utterly humorless sound. "The game has changed," he whispers, mostly to himself. "Wonderful, just wonderful." He looks at Tithian. "So you are the king. Rikus is the general. And what, pray tell, are we?" He gestures between himself and Sadira. Tithian's smile is gone. "You are whatever you wish. You are the heroes of Tyr. You can leave. You can stay. You can be symbols." His voice drops. "But you must choose. Are you with the new Tyr? Or are you a problem?" And this is the moment. The fellowship that slew a god is broken. Sadira, the preserver, looks at Tithian with a clarity that is almost painful. She sees him for what he is, a new Kalak, a smarter Kalak, a better Kalak, one who rules with propaganda and necessity, instead of a ziggurat and a whip. But he is still a tyrant, one who has just allied himself and her new free city with the single greatest defiler in the known world. She cannot be a part of this. I must go," she whispers. "The Veiled Alliance. They must be told. We have broken the world, Tithian, and I must find a way to put it back together, a different way." She is lying. She knows her path. She will not go to the Veiled Alliance, not yet. She will race the Crimson Legion. She will find this last city of the dwarves. She will find them, not to help Tithian, but to warn them, and to learn from them. For they too are the ancient enemies of the dragon, and they may, just may, know how to kill one. Agis, the scion, just shakes his head, that cold, dead smile on his face. "Leave. Oh, no, no, no. No, this is fascinating. The game has just been set. The board is new. You are the new king." He makes a mock bow. "And I am just a loyal citizen. My family is likely dead in the riots. My wealth is likely ash. I have nothing left. I have nothing left, except my name and my talent. I will watch. I will help. I will be your city's new shadow." Tithian's eyes narrow. He knows instinctively that Agis is the most dangerous man in Tyr, more dangerous than Rikus, more dangerous than the dragon, a master scion with no loyalty, no power base, and a grudge. But he cannot kill him, not now, not a hero of Tyr. "As you wish, Lord Agis," Tithian says, his voice pure silk. And finally, Rikus, the Merle, the general. He looks at Tithian. He looks at Sadira, her eyes pleading with him to come with her. He looks at Agis, his eyes glittering with a new dark quab and hungry purpose. And then he looks down. He looks at the city. His city. He sees the slaves, his people. He sees the fires. He hears the screams. He is a gladiator. He is a Mull. He was bred for one purpose: to endure, to take the pain, to protect those who cannot protect themselves. He hates Tithian. He hates this bargain. He hates this world. But he cannot abandon these people. He cannot. Sadira's way is a dream. Aegis's way is a coward's. Tithian's way is a monster's. But someone has to hold the monster's leash. Someone has to be in the army to stop it from truly becoming an army of butchers. Someone has to protect the people of Tyr, not just from the dragon, but from their new liberator king. Not just from the dragon, but from their new liberator. I am General, Ricus grinds out, the word tasting like ash in his mouth. I will lead your legion, Tithyan. I will control your army. I will take your orders. For now, but you and I, we are not the same. And the day I find you have betrayed these people, we will have a conversation. General, Tithyan finishes for him, his smile at last genuine. He has his sword, he has his symbol, he has his general. The new world has been born. The fellowship is shattered. Sadira, under the cover of the chaos, slips away, a ghost in the burning city to begin her desperate race. Agis, with a final knowing nod, vanishes into the shadows to begin his own dark game. And Ricus, the hero, the slayer of kings, the general, picks up a broken bone-tipped spear, and he stands, his massive shoulders slumped. At Tithyan's side he turns to face the city, to face the chaos, to face his new and more terrible cage. The free city of Tyr has been born, and in the very same instant, it has been damned. The dragon is gone. The sky over Tyr is empty, save for the hateful crimson sun. And in the silence, the new, terrible, and desperate future of the free city begins. The year that follows the death of Kalak, the year of the dragon's bargain, is not a year of peace. It is not a year of joyous, liberated rebuilding. It is perhaps the most brutal, desperate, and bloody year in Tyr's long, bloody history. It is the year of the Crimson Legion, and it is a year of 3 terrible, intertwined struggles. The king in chains, the first struggle, is that of Tithyan, the new, self-proclaimed king of Tyr. He stands on the ruins of the ziggurat, a hero to the masses, a liberator who has bought them a year of life. He is also the single most hated and most hunted man in the city. He has no army. He has no magic. He has no power. The Templars, his entire infrastructure of control, are being lynched in the streets. The nobles, the old families who might have been his allies, have been overthrown by their own slaves. And the city itself, a million starving, thirsty, and now panicked people, is devouring itself. Tithyan does not rule with magic. He rules with information. He rules with need. His first act is not to build a palace. It is to seize the wells. But he does not send guards. He sends heroes. He uses the only real power he has, the name and the presence of Ricus. He declares the formation of the Crimson Legion. And he makes its first glorious public duty, not to prepare for war, but to save the city. Ricus, the general, is given his first order: stop the riots, secure the water, secure the granaries. It is a move of pure political genius. Tithyan takes the city's greatest hero, the gladiator, the slave champion, and he forces him to be the face of order. He forces Ricus to be the one to tell the starving, thirsty, newly freed slaves that they cannot have all the water, that they cannot have all the food, that it must be rationed. Overnight, Ricus becomes a traitor in the eyes of his own desperate people. He is the mole who has, in their eyes, become the new Templar. With Ricus and his legion at first, just a few dozen loyal gladiators and moles from the arenas holding the wells, Tithian makes his real move. He goes to the one power in the city that is not broken. The one power that, in fact, thrives on chaos. He goes to the merchant houses. He finds the dynasts of House Shom, House Talaxa, and the others, barricaded in their armed compounds, watching the city burn and waiting. They are waiting to see who will rule. Tithian does not come to them as a king. He comes to them as a client, as a business partner. The city is free, he tells them, his voice pure, cold pragmatism. And a free city is a mess. A free city has no contracts. It has no law. It has no guarantees. Kalak was a tyrant, but he was a stable tyrant. You knew where you stood. Right now, you are standing in a burning house. You are standing in a burning house. He offers them a new bargain, not one of tyranny, one of profit. Help me rebuild. Help me feed this city. Help me arm this city. And in return, I will give you Tyr, not as a king, but as a partner. No more Templar taxes, no more slave levies for a ziggurat. Just a contract for the exclusive right to supply the Crimson Legion, a contract for the exclusive right to manage the city's new trade. You will be my government, my new Templars, the Templars of coin. The merchant houses, seeing the genius and the profit in his plan, agree. And so the free city of Tyr is remade. It is not a democracy, it is a corporation. Tithian the king is the CEO. The merchant houses are the board of directors. And Ricus is the unwitting and unwilling head of security, forced to impose the new corporate policy on a populace that thought, for one brief, shining moment, that they were actually free. The general of the damned, the second struggle, is that of Ricus. His is a burden of pure heartbreaking pragmatism. He hates Tithian. He hates the bargain. He hates the name general. But he loves the people. He loves the slaves he fought beside in the arena. And he cannot let them die of thirst or be butchered by Tithian's new merchant house guards. So he builds the legion. He goes to the arena pits, to the slave quarters, to the quarry gangs. He does not offer them freedom. He does not offer them glory. He offers them the one, simple, brutal truth that he, a mole, has known his entire life. Survival. Tithian is a liar, he tells them, in his low, grinding voice. The king is a snake, and the dragon is real. We are food, given 1 year to run, but we aren't going to run. We are going to fight. He offers them a new contract, not a slave brand, a soldier's mark. Join the Legion, he says, to 1,000 starving, desperate faces, and you will eat, you will drink water from the king's own wells. You will be given a weapon, a bone spear, an obsidian axe, and you will be given a purpose. You will not be a slave. You will be a soldier. We will train. We will become strong. And in 1 year, when the dragon comes, We will show him what food can do. It is a lie. He knows it is a lie. He knows they cannot fight the dragon. But it is a better lie than Tithian's. It is a lie of pride. It is a lie of hope. And the ex-slaves, the moles, the humans, the half-giants, they flock to him. They join, not because they trust Tithian, but because they trust Rikus. He is one of them. He is the champion of the sands, and he has not yet betrayed them. So Rikus begins the impossible task. He has to turn 1,000,000 broken, desperate, and undisciplined slaves into an army with no metal, no horses, and no time. He begins the great, brutal training. He creates the Crimson Legion. He creates, named for the blood of their masters, or perhaps for the blood they are about to spill in Tithian's and the dragon's name. He is a general, a father, and a prisoner, all at once, in a city that both adores him and is beginning to hate him. The race of the Preserver, the third, and most secret, struggle is that of Sadira. She does not stay. She cannot to her. Tithian is a new, more insidious defiler. One who defiles hope instead of the land. And Rikus is a fool, a noble, tragic, and trapped fool. She slips out of Tyr's gates in the chaos, a ghost in a refugee shroud. Her quest is now one of pure, desperate, and burning urgency. The dragon has failed in his ancient focus. The ghost of Arkad has proven it. The dwarves live. Tithian is sending an army to destroy them, to finish the butcher's work. Sadira must find them. She must race the Crimson Legion. She is not just a preserver. She is a member of the Veiled Alliance. And for the first time she has a mission that is greater than just survive. She must find the last city of the dwarves. She must warn them. Nosti, Ichigat warned them. But more, so much more, she must learn from them. They are the only other power in the world that has defied the dragon. They are the only other power that the dragon fears. The ghost of their king stopped the apocalypse with a single whispered word. They must know something, a secret, a weakness, a weapon. Sadira's journey is a desperate, one-woman race against time. She plunges into the deepest, most dangerous part of the wastes. She uses her Veiled Alliance contacts, her Preserver's magic, and her own desperate cunning to find the trail. She is not just looking for a city, she is looking for a myth, a rumor, a lost focus that the dwarves have been whispering about for 1,000 broken years. Her journey is a parallel track, a hidden hope, while Tyr, behind her, arms for a war, and Aegis the Scion stays behind to play his own game in the shadows of a new and far more dangerous king. Welcome back. The story of Athas, for 1,000 unblinking and agonizing years, has been a story of stasis, a story of a prison where the prisoners, the jailers, and the wardens are all locked in a single terrible and stable system. The Sorcerer-Kings ruled. The dragon collected his tithe. The people suffered, and the sun rose. Now, in a single, catastrophic, and glorious day, that system has been broken. A god is dead. A city is free. And the news is spreading. The news travels as only news on Athas can, on the psionic whispers of merchant house clairsentience, in the fast-loping, gossip-hungry runs of elven traders, and in the panicked secret reports of Templar spies. And as this news, this impossible news, Kalak is dead, Tyr is free, the dragon, bargained, slams into the other 6 city-states, the world does not rejoice. It panics. And in the city of Tyr, in the ruins of a noble house, a single, elegant, and impossibly dangerous man sits and listens. This is the new world of Aegis of Asticles. Down. His family is dead, his wealth is ash, his home is a collapsed ruin of mud, brick, and bone. He is, by all accounts, a refugee, a hero, a survivor. He is also, in this new, chaotic world, the single most powerful man in Tyr. Save for Tithian and Ricus, for Aegis is a master of the will. He has no spies. He needs none. He sits, and he listens. He listens to the telepathic chatter of the city. He reads the fear-soaked psychic residue on the daggers of Tithian's new merchant guards. He tastes the psionic scent of the elven trader who just arrived at the half-burned gates. And he knows he is the city's new shadow. Oh, its new Lord Aegis. And he is the only one who is looking out, while the rest of the city is desperately looking in. And this is what he hears. This is how the world reacts. The lion's rage. The view from Uruk to the west of Tyr, across the barren rocky badlands, lies the fortress city of Uruk. Uruk is not a city. It is an army. It is the personal domain of Hamanu, the lion, and Hamanu is not like the other Sorcerer-Kings. He is not a reclusive shadow, like Nibene. He is not a decadent, bloody-handed priest. Like Tektotle, he is a general. He is a lawgiver. He is, in his own, billion-faceted and arrogant mind, the perfect ruler. His city is one of brutal, absolute, and perfect order. His laws are written on tablets of clay, and they are obeyed. His armies are the most disciplined, most powerful, and most feared in the entire Tyr region. When the news of Kalak's death reaches Hamanu, his reaction is not joy. It is not fear. It is disgust. It is a cold, pure, and profound contempt. First, for Kalak, the fool, the weakling, to be slain by slaves, by his own High Templar. It is a failure of management. It is an embarrassment to their entire immortal order. But his second reaction, his true reaction, the one that shakes the very foundations of his basalt and iron palace, is rage. It is a rage born of a deep and violated sense of order. For Hamanu is a zealot. He is a zealot for the one, single, overriding law that has kept the world from truly ending. The bargain. The pact that all of them, the champions, made with Boris the dragon. The pact to feed the prison. King Sion, Kalak, in his arrogant attempt to become a dragon, had planned to defy the levy. He had planned to break the bargain, and in doing so, he had threatened to unleash Rajat. He had threatened Armageddon and Tithian. This mortal, this insect, this traitor had continued the threat. He had failed to pay the tithe, and the dragon, in his strange, mad, and unfathomable behavior, had led him to Hamanu. This is not freedom. This is not a bargain. This is a failure of the system. This is a cancer. It is a mortal Tithian who has, through some trick, and Hamanu hates tricks, put the entire world at risk just to save his own worthless mud brick city. In the end, Hamanu sees a power vacuum, and he, as the embodiment of order and law, must fill it. He sees Tyr, a rich city, a city with deep wells, vast slave pits, and now, no god, it is a house left open, its master dead, its new owner, a vermin. Hamanu's decision is made in an instant. He will not wait for the dragon's year. He does not care about the dwarven quest. That is a distraction, a fool's errand. The real crime is the betrayal of the system. Hamanu gives the order. He mobilizes the Legion of Uruk. He will march on Tyr. He will crush this new free city. He will execute the traitor, Tithian. He will burn the Crimson Legion to ash. He will enslave the entire pathetic, liberated populace. And he will personally gather the 1,000-soul levy and present it to the dragon. He will, in short, restore order. His war is a righteous war. It is a holy war, in his own mind. A crusade to save the world, by conquering its most dangerous and most insulting new freedom. The shadows fear. The view from Nibene to the south of Tyr, in the verdant, steamy, and Rom jungles of the Crescent Forest, lies the city of Nibene. It is ruled by the Shadow King, a being who is never seen, a Sorcerer-King so reclusive, so ancient, and so paranoid that he has not held open court in 5 centuries. He rules, not through an army, but through a Byzantine labyrinthine, and utterly terrifying bureaucracy of spies, scribes, civil servants, and his wives. His Templars are all, without exception, women, and they are the true, deadly, and fanatical power in the city. When the news reaches the Shadow King, his reaction is not rage. It is not disgust. It is stark, bone-chilling, and absolute terror. But not of the dragon, not of Tithian. His terror is internal. For Hamanu, the lesson of Tyr is, a rival is weak. For Nibene, the lesson of Tyr is, your own servants can kill you. Kalak was not killed by a rival king. He was not killed by a slave riot. He was killed by his own High Templar, Tithian, the one man he trusted, the one man who ran his entire city. The Shadow King looks at his own city, a maze of whispers, plots, and ambitions. He looks at his own High Templar, and he sees 1,000 Tithians. His paranoia explodes. Nibene does not mobilize an army. He locks his doors, he seals his city, and he begins the purge. He unleashes his most loyal inner circle of assassins and spies, and he cleanses house. Hundreds of his own Templars, his own scribes, his own noble family heads vanish. They are arrested on suspicion of treason. They are tortured. They are tortured psionically for plots that do not exist. They are executed quietly in the shadow of his name. Nibene is not worried about Tyr. He is not worried about the dragon. He is terrified of the idea of Tyr, the idea of liberation. But He is also intrigued. A god was killed. How? What weapon was used? What magic? What psionic art? He must know. So, while his city drowns in its own paranoid internal bloodletting, he sends his best spies not to conquer Tyr, not to destroy it, but to infest it, to watch Tithyon, to study Ricus, to find the preserver Sadira, and to buy or steal the weapon or the secret that allowed a mortal to murder a god. The madhouse and the altar, Ram and Dry, the other cities, their reaction is a reflection of their own internal madness. In Ram, the city of the great vizier Abalachre, the city is already in flames. Ram is a failed state, a chaotic, rioting, faction-filled madhouse, held together only by Abalachre's sheer, psionic, and terrible will. The news of Tyr's freedom is gasoline. The dozens of slave cults, rebel groups, and rival factions within Ram all hear the same thing. It is possible. The chaos in Ram doubles. Abalachre, already teetering on the brink of losing control, is now too busy, literally, crucifying her own citizens in the streets, to even think about Tyr. In Dry, the domain of the bloody, sacrificial priest Hektaktitli, the reaction is religious. Clearly, Kalak had failed to appease the great spirits of the sun, and the wind, and the silt. He was impure. He was weak. Hektaktitli's response is simple. More blood. He doubles the sacrifices. He will not be the weak one. He will drown his altars in blood to prove his own devotion, his own strength. He will show the world what a true god-king looks like. And in Tyr, in his ruined villa, Aegis of Asticles, sifts all of this. He hears the mobilization of Hamanu's army. He tastes the new paranoid Nibnese spies in the shadows. He feels the chaos ripples from Ram. And he knows, with a cold, pure, and terrible certainty, Tithyon is a fool, a brilliant, arrogant, and short-sighted fool. Tithyon is preparing a legion to march south to go on a one-year quest for dwarves. And Aegis knows that the real threat, the real apocalypse, is already marching. And it is marching from the west. Hamanu is coming, and he will be here long before a year is up. Aegis, the shadow, the game player, the lord, makes a choice. He cannot tell Tithyon. Tithyon is a madman, obsessed with his own clever bargain. He will not listen. No, he must tell the general. He must go to Ricus. He must find a way, in his own subtle and manipulative way, to turn the Crimson Legion, to stop it from marching on its fool's errand, and to prepare it for the real war that is about to drown them all in blood. The free city of Tyr is a lie, held together by the smell of old blood and the promise of new. King Tithyon, the master manipulator, is building his new order, not on mud, brick, and bone, but on contracts, coin, and the cold, hard pragmatism of the merchant houses. His new Templars are merchant guards and hired mercenaries. His law is the law of the ledger book and the caravan master, and his entire fragile and desperate new kingdom is being built to face the wrong way. Tithyon's eyes are on the south. He is obsessed with the bargain, with the 1 year the dragon has given him. His every thought, his every order, is about the quest. His new Crimson Legion is being built for one singular and impossible purpose: to find and destroy the last city of the dwarves. But in a ruined, high-born villa, in the silent, psionic haze of his own vast intellect, Aegis of Asticles listens. And he knows the truth. He knows that Tithian is a fool, a man staring at a single distant candle, while a tidal wave of fire is about to crash over his back from the west. Aegis is, for the first time in his decadent, bored, and empty life, afraid. He is afraid because he is the only one who sees the real threat. He is the only one who hears the telepathic echoes of Hamanu's mobilization. He tastes the psionic scent of Urik's legion, a scent of oiled chitin, a scent of oiled chitin, hot metal, for Urik has metal, and a singular, unified righteous purpose. Hamanu is coming. He is not coming in a year. He is coming now. Aegis knows he cannot go to Tithian. Tithian is the architect of the lie. He is invested in the quest for the dwarves. It is the foundation of his new kingship. To tell Tithian the real threat is coming would be to be laughed at, to be dismissed, to be told he is panicking or seeing ghosts. Tithian would see it as a distraction from his own perfect, clever plan. Itil down and until only. No, the brain of Tyr is sick. It is poisoned with its own brilliant and faulty logic. He must go to the muscle. He must go to the one man in Tyr who is not a gamer, who is not a politician. He must go to the one man who is, in his heart, still a gladiator. The one man who understands one simple and brutal thing, a threat. He must go to General Ricus. Finding Ricus is not hard. You do not look for him in a palace or a command tent. You just follow the sounds of work. Aegis finds him in what was once the great plaza of Kalak, now a dust-choked, sun-baked, and brutal training ground. The Crimson Legion is here, and it is a mess. This is not the Legion of Urik. This is not an army. This is a mob. It is 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 ex-slaves. They are mulls, humans, half-giants, and a smattering of elves and dwarves who were trapped in the city. They are gaunt, they are scarred, and they are, for the first time in their lives, armed. They have bone clubs. They have obsidian-tipped spears. They have shields made from the chitin plates of Kanks. And they are angry. They are undisciplined, and they are afraid. Ricus, the Mull, stands on a collapsed statue of Kalak, his massive, bare, and newly scarred torso gleaming with sweat under the red sun. He is not a general, he is a trainer. He's a pit boss. He's bellowing at them, his voice a low, grinding growl that cuts through the dust. "You are slow," he roars, as a line of recruits fails to form a proper shield wall. "You are weak. You are noise. The arena master would have whipped you for that. The quarry boss would have broken your legs. You think you are free. You are dead. You are all dead. You are all dead. You are just walking corpses that the dragon has not bothered to eat yet. He is hated." And Aegis sees it instantly. The Legion does not love Ricus. They fear him. They resent him. He is the Mull who is now their master. He is the slave, who is now their pit boss. He is the one who, every morning, forces them to train, to sweat, to bleed, when all they want to do is rest or drink or find their families. He is, in short, the only thing holding this entire fragile and desperate city together. He is the only one doing the real work. Athas approaches, his fine, noble silks now replaced with the simple, functional, and anonymous robes of a citizen. He is just another shadow in a city of shadows. He waits patiently, psionically shielded, until Rikus, his voice raw, finally calls a halt for the midday water ration. Eternal. Rikus sees him, and his eyes, his hard, black, and utterly joyless mole eyes, narrow to slits. Lord Aegis, Rikus grins out. The name is an insult. Come to watch the slaves play soldier? Have you come from the king? Does he want a parade? Aegis does not flinch. He is, in his own quiet way, the most dangerous thing on this plaza. He waits until Rikus is close, until the wall of the mole's own natural psionic resistance is a taste in his mind. No, General, Aegis says, his voice quiet, calm, and penetrating. I have come to tell you that you are training your army to face the wrong direction. Rikus stops. He turns, his massive frame, a solid wall of scarred muscle and bone, is a study in pure contained and murderous potential. I am training them to live, Rikus snarls. I am training them to fight. The enemy is south. The dwarves, Tithians, bargain. Tithian is a fool, Aegis says simply. He holds up a hand as Rikus's own hand instinctively goes to the bone axe at his hip. I am not here to plot, General. I am here to report. I am here to report. I am a scout, if you will. A psionic rat, Rikus spits. I know what you are. Yes, Aegis agrees, with a thin, cold smile. I am a rat, and this rat has been in the walls of the world. I have been listening, and I have heard the boots of Hamanu's legion. I have heard the thoughts of Hamanu's Templars. I have heard the order. Rikus's eyes change. The name Hamanu has a weight. Even a gladiator knows that name. It is the name of order, of law, of iron. Urig. Rikus whispers. Urig, Aegis confirms. Hamanu is not intrigued, General. He is not frightened. He is insulted. We have broken his world. We have broken the bargain. He does not see freedom. He sees a cancer, a disease, and he is the cure. Aegis steps closer. He is not planning to march. He is marching. He is not coming in a year. He is coming next month, maybe sooner, and he is not coming to talk. He is coming to conquer, to cleanse, to enslave every man, woman and child in this free city. And then he will pay the dragon's levy with our bones. The silence that follows is absolute. Rikus is a mole. He is a slave. He was bred for endurance. He was bred to understand a threat. He believes him. He believes him, not because of proof, but because of psionics. He has spent his entire life in the arenas. He knows the tell, he knows the scent of a liar's mind. He has felt Tithian's slick, coiled serpent mind. Agis's mind is not a snake. It is a razor. It is cold. It is sharp, and it is, in this one, terrible and pure moment, honest. It is the honesty of shared terror. Why? Ricus growls, his voice a low, strangled sound. Why me? Why not Tithian? Because Tithian is the king, Agis says, his own voice laced with a bitter new contempt. And he is drunk on his own clever bargain. He cannot and will not see another threat. It ruins his perfect plan. He will tell you that I am lying, that I am lying spy, that I am trying to divide his perfect city. Agis looks at the legion, at the thousands of starving, pathetic and doomed ex-slaves. He will march this children's crusade south into the desert to hunt a ghost, and Hamanu will march from the west, and he will find a city with no soldiers, a city with no general, a city that is empty and waiting to be butchered. He turns back to Ricus, and his eyes are not the eyes of a noble. They are the eyes of a co-conspirator. You are the general, Ricus. You are the only thing that matters. Tithian is the brain, but you are the heart, you are the fist, and you must choose. Ricus feels the cold he has not felt since his first day in the pits. He is trapped. He is trapped in a new arena, an arena 1,000 times the size of the old one. If he obeys Tithian, he is doomed. He and his legion and his people will be on a fool's errand while their city burns. But if he defies Tithian, if he turns his legion to face the west, he will call it treason. Ricus whispers, the horrifying tactical reality of it crashing down on him. Yes, Agis whispers back. He will. The merchant houses, his new Templars, will cut your food. They will cut your water. He will brand you, the hero, as a traitor. He will try to have you killed. Ricus closes his eyes. The red sun is nothing compared to the heat of this one impossible choice. So, Ricus growls, what do I do? Ages of Asticles, the Lord, the Shadow, the Rat, allows himself a single, thin, and terrible smile. Why, General, he says, you do both. You publicly prepare your army for the glorious quest to the south. You shout about the dwarves. You shout for Tithian. And privately, Agis whispers, you and I We will train your best, your real soldiers, your moles, your gladiators, your true believers, and we will teach them how to really fight. We will teach them how to fight. Urik's Legion. We will forge a new veiled alliance, not of wizards but of warriors, a secret army inside the public one. He leans in. You are the general, Rikus. It is time you learned to lie. This is the new world, the new, terrible and desperate game that has been set on the corpse of the old. This is the world of Athas, a world where a god can be murdered by his own slaves, a world where a free city is just a new, more complicated, and more dangerous kind of prison. A world where the only hope on the horizon is a choice between two equally terrible apocalypses: the righteous genocidal order of Hamanu's Legion, or the ancient maddening and all-consuming duty of the dragon. And this is the great, terrible, and beautiful promise of Dark Sun. It is not a world of simple, easy answers. It is not a world of good versus evil. It is a world of necessity. It is a world of choice. Will Sadira, the preserver, find the last city of the dwarves? Will she find a secret to kill a dragon? Or will she just find a new, more ancient, and more terrible truth? Will Rikus, the general, be forced to choose between his king and his people? Will his Crimson Legion, this army of slaves, be the shield of Tyre? Or will they, as Tithian first intended, be the butchers of the last, innocent remnant of the dwarven race? And will Tithian, this king of lies, this CEO of a free city, be able to hold his new, fragile and impossible kingdom? Will he, in his endless, arrogant and brilliant game of survival, find a way to play Hamanu against the dragon? This is the new game, and it is the game that you will have to play. For on Athas there are no heroes, there is no winning, there is no happily ever after. There is only survival. And so our journey, for now, must come to an end. We have stood under the hateful glare of the red sun. We have felt the sonic shriek of the dragon. We have tasted the dust, and we have survived. Survive. Thank you for joining us, for walking this long and terrible and beautiful path into the heart of the Dark Sun. If you have enjoyed this journey, if you have endured, then please do what you must. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this story, this warning, with those who you trust, and tell us in the comments below, what are the worlds, what are the shadows, what are the secret, buried and terrible laws would you have us excavate? Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and don't